Peace. You're watching Cannabis Culture News Live. I'm Jeremiah Vandermeer, editor of Cannabis Culture magazine and Pot TV. My boy Johnny on the couch. My other boy Neil on the couch.
Nice little wind we got going on there, huh?
We were sweating our proverbial balls off, and Johnny grabbed a fan and put it over here.
I just walked over and grabbed a fan.
It's a beautiful day in the city of Vancouver today, actually. The sun is just blazing out there, making us all...
Actually, we're blazing.
Sweat
I don't know
like
about the sun, but I'm blazing.
You're blazing.
I'm blazing.
We're
The
all
sun's
blazing.
blazing. We're blazing. How about you guys blazing?
We're all blazing. And hopefully you guys
There's some
are out
blazers
there.
in the
I can't
audience.
see the chat. Hold on a second here. Putting myself in the chat.
Are you in chat?
Not yet, but I will be.
Well, you know
I'm
what?
in
It's
chat.
always a nice full milk
There
Friday.
they are. Hi, chatters. 28 dabs later. Green Supreme. Oh, volume. Oh, yeah, here we're good. We're good. Yeah, this every time I start the show, there's some issue with the sound. But
You know
that's
what?
good.
We've done this for like 10 years, so there's always something wrong.
Yeah, no, that's perfect there. And yeah, guys, we have an interesting show for you today. So yesterday, City of Vancouver hosts its first information meeting on the new medical marijuana dispensary regulations.
That's not medical. They said it's for anybody.
Well, and that's why I put the
Licensed
medical
dealer.
in quotation marks, because it turns out, well, we're not quite entirely sure yet, but what it looks like, and I mean, if you look at the bylaws, there's nothing in the bylaws that actually says it has to be medical.
No,
There's
I
nothing
stated
that
that.
says
No
that you have to have a
doctor's
doctor's note.
No,
There's
nothing.
nothing in the bylaws that says anything about, keeping a database of patient names for that purpose. If you pay your 30 grand, apparently, you can sell marijuana to anybody who comes in. Over 19, that is. No minors, and you can't advertise to minors either.
But my question is, go ahead.
No, what's your question?
Where are you getting it from? So if they're going to charge someone $30,000 for a license to sell recreational cannabis, where are they getting it from? Because are they going to give you a license to grow it? I'm curious.
Yeah, and then this
White elephant in the room, and no one's asking these questions, and I think it's a very serious question that needs to be addressed sooner than later.
There's more questions than answers.
I don't want them answering that asking that question.
Well, no, because we need to know, but there's no point in going through this process and putting all the money in all these people and then it being rightfully, say, oh, well, here, now you have to buy from a licensed producer.
No,
here's your protocols,
but
and here's how you're going to do it.
Yeah,
See, it doesn't have to be a perfect system because, you guys, it never is. Think
But it would be a
Think
system.
of Amsterdam now. Think of the way it is in Amsterdam with the coffee shops there. Until the marijuana actually gets into the coffee shop, it's illegal completely.
Yes.
And people can get fined for it or arrested.
There you go, yeah.
And even the guys driving the scooters to the coffee shops that are ripping through the alleys and stuff that have the pot in their little scooter backpack, those guys are all at risk as well. And they get popped, and I think it's like a $4,000 fine there that they get, given.
Criminal record,
And
too?
so it's kind of like an indirect taxation system that the coffee shops, they don't want to fight, and they don't care because they're in business, they're doing well, they have a system that works for them, and they, when their guy gets popped, it only costs them $4 grand. That's better than paying taxes all year. So you see how they just...
I am Dutch, and I do like the Amsterdam model.
Yeah. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying we need fair regulations that look at the distribution, the growing, and everything else.
Well, you know
not
what?
Just the
Don't
actual
take away
retail.
our right to grow. I mean, what we're seeing is we're seeing access for patients, and that's what we're seeing. And now we're just seeing access in Vancouver for anybody.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's awesome.
Nothing
And
wrong
it's pretty
with
good.
that.
Nothing wrong with it. And you know what? I think it's great.
We don't want them forced into using Stephen Harper's dealers, though. Stephen Harper's growers, producers.
Now, and this is the other problem, I think the major problem with the new regulations in Vancouver. The actual laws themselves, the people who are going to be allowed to sell pot, that's great. It's great for the people who are actually able to sell it. But because they have such a short window of opportunity for people to apply to get a dispensary permit, and they have such strict regulations about where they can be, 300 meters from other locations, certain areas they can't be in the city of Vancouver. There's only so many spots, and there's only going to be so many people who can get these licenses, just like taxi cab owners. So,
Those
again, that's a
spots
monopoly.
are gone. I'm pretty sure. I know people that were buying buildings because they were in the 300-meter radius, so they just bought the building.
No, there's a real estate race going on right now.
Oh, totally.
It's a green rush.
It is a different rush in Vancouver. It is. Do you have the 300-meter location? Because if you do, your property has definitely gone up, and it's
but here's the
a little
thing.
bit of BS, to be honest.
Here's the thing. If you find a spot that's in that area that's going to work, and you go to all the point of putting in renovations and security and stuff, and then you put in your application, because you have to have everything in place first, there's nothing to have said that there couldn't be 3 or 4 other, even one other person that's set up in the same block as you or down the street from you, and now you're in proximity problems. So you could be wasting all your money doing that. They've really taken the profits out of running the dispensary in Vancouver is what they've done.
Well, I wouldn't say that,
I say
Neil.
so much profit.
I don't
but-
know.
A lot of
I'm not so sure about that yet, because the thing is, the people who actually get what they're doing is they're kicking a lot of people out of the business. The people that are going to be there, they're going to make a fuckload of profits.
They're going to sell a lot of weed, but they're not going to make money on the other revenue streams that they were able to up to this point.
Believe me, they're still going to make a lot of money, because those costs are going to be passed on to the patients.
Yeah, they won't have $4 grams.
All right, that'll be passed on to the customer. But at that point,
We
it's
don't
not going
know
to
that.
matter, because it won't even be just patients who are allowed to go there. It's anybody.
Anybody that's got enough money to go to a dispensary that wants to pay $15 a gram.
Well, that's anybody who wants to buy weed.
1985.
Really. Hey, man, people are paying $10 on the street. Have been for a long
$15
time.
a gram.
Believe
It'll
me,
be cheaper on the
there's
street for sure.
people who are quite willing to pay $15 a gram for store weed.
You're right. I don't.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
so
they're
now
willing to pay a lot more
there's
than that.
there's something that I read.
I don't like it,
last
but-
night, and it came from a licensed producer, Delta 9, and they were going on about the club in Manitoba, and that he supports the right of a storefront, but doesn't support the black market industry, and that these licensed or these dispensaries should buy their weed from dispensaries.
I know
from
that's what they
licensed
want.
They want to buy in. What was basically Delta 9 was basically saying is that you should be sponsoring us, buying our
And
weed
they
from
want
us,
storefronts.
and we will distribute. You distribute it for us
Yeah.
because where you're getting it from isn't clean. The way we
Yeah, it's
set
not
everything up
irradiated.
is all regulated.
But
There's no pesticides.
They're not allowed to do
blah,
that
blah, blah.
federally, though, at all.
But
Yeah.
not yet.
They have Stephen Harper on their side, so
That's what they
can-
want, I'm sure, is storefronts.
But you know what? So
Of course they do, and
We-
that's
you
what's
know,
happening
it's
here in
funny that-
Vancouver right now.
wouldn't that be a good thing in certain ways, though? See, I'm not so critical.
no,
I'm
because
okay
the
with
weed
it.
is irradiated.
No, it's not.
Well, okay.
It's Stephen
It's
Harper's
not.
weed, and we don't want
It
to
doesn't-
smoke Stephen Harper's
I
weed.
can pretty
Well,
much
Neil-
tell you, Neil, I have been in a few licensed LPs, and some of the weed they grow is killer, and some of it is good.
I'm
And
not saying-
hands
I'm
down,
not
they
saying
are
they're
doing the
irradiating
job
system.
right. Are they irradiating? No, they're not.
You don't have to
You know what?
irradiate
You
it.
don't have to. There's certain
No.
things. I mean,
If
you got to take a
somebody
look.
came along and
Out
wanted
of
to
the
make a good
25
LP that
licensed
was doing good
producers out
things
there,
and giving back to the community,
they
and doing
know
those
they
things,
have to step up.
theoretically,
They
that
know
could
they
be
have to
done.
supply.
I don't know if any of that's
So,
happening, but
I mean, there are certain ones where the old system was irradiating and stuff like that, but I mean, you can definitely talk to Philip.
I
you can
thought it
talk
was
to-
required, and if it's not now,
Nope.
it might be in the future.
No, it's not required.
no,
You
it's not
can-
required.
It's
in
not a
commercial
requirement.
grow-ops, it might eventually be required.
The gamma radiation?
I've
Yeah, if
been
they
in-
start using
Well,
some of the
we could
different-
speculate on all kinds of things. We might have another federal government that's a different one soon that would just
Yeah.
legalize marijuana completely or
Yeah.
decriminalize.
for a whole bunch more money, they're going to kick that off tomorrow, apparently.
Hey, did you guys see, just on that note, well, just before we continue on and I divert off to another topic, I want to just mention what's on the show today. We're going to be having Glenn from your medical marijuana dispensary in Winnipeg on the show to talk about the cops fucking with them, trying to shut them down and turn off the whole medical marijuana dispensary switch in Winnipeg. But he's going to come on. That's around the 5 o'clock mark.
Cool.
And we also have the expert from Expert Joints on the show to judge a little joint rolling competition we're going to have. And, well, you'll find out soon, won't you, Johnny?
Yeah, because I was a judge at the last one.
And I think Kiwi J is going to be on the show. I'm not sure. I haven't heard. I better send him a text message to see if he's still popping by for the show.
Kiwi.
I don't see him out here. Kiwied. But
I tried.
I haven't heard from him today, so I'm not sure if he's coming on or not. But, yeah, so we got a bunch of stuff on the show. Dana Larson's probably going to stop by. David Malmo Levine's probably going to stop by to also chime in about what they witnessed yesterday at this information seminar here in Vancouver, which I thought, at the end of it, I was like left with way more questions than answers. They weren't able to explain where the whole police situation and how much influence they're going to have on the demerits and all these things. You know, the police have an automatic 4 demerits if they don't like you. So I asked them, what's that for and what can they say about you? They didn't have answers on that either.
Right.
But
And they wouldn't answer my question either. You know, I mean, I pointed out that the Marijuana Party of Canada has protection under common law and the Elections Act, and that they aren't subject to their regulations in their commercial premises that they set
Yeah.
up as offices. And what would they say about that? They wouldn't say anything about that. They said that it was the first they'd heard of it.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit. They have heard of it before. And we sold
I'm not so sure about
cookies.
they might not have heard of it, you know.
Well,
These
they
guys
should- they're
don't-
not- yeah, they may
They
not
were
be-
doing a lot of flipping through papers when we were there, so I don't have a heck of a lot of confidence that these people are, up on the latest.
Well, Joe with Weed's
necessarily.
store up on Kingsway, that was an electoral office for the Marijuana Party of Canada. They raided that shop because of clones being sold, and now Joe's had 8 first appearances as they try to stall this as long as they can. And not wanting to change subjects, but the Cannabis Day arrest of me, I was in court the other day, and apparently I got a win out of that because I've been given the option of having a jury trial in Supreme Court in British Columbia, which is a huge win, and they're in a lot of trouble.
We just have a chatter here who is asking why we're claiming that there's a recreational legalization, but I'm not sure if anybody's helping him out. But yeah, see, the only thing that could really, it's not in the bylaws. The bylaws say nothing about getting a doctor's note. It says nothing that
the bylaws purely state it says for societies or licensed dealer. And the first thing I did was go right through the whole thing, and not one word, one sentence, anything in it states that you need a medical license, a doctor's note, or anything. It just says licensed dealer. That's it.
It was asked about openly in the session yesterday, and
1 minute
from the
warning
word of all the people there, they kept repeating, only you can't sell
but
to minors.
the VPD weren't there, and the
That's
concern has always been in these dispensaries is that the VPD are going to send in undercovers, and they're going to try to buy cannabis without having a proper medical support from their doctor, and that's going to get them busted. So
But
the
there
VPD
is
may
no-
still have that agenda going on, but you wouldn't think they could with what the city's doing in regulating
Well,
these things.
see, what's going to happen is the VPD is going to have to give us a second set of rules then.
Could be.
Because the rules that are there now say the VPD should be busting all of them, and it doesn't matter about the city. So
Yeah.
the city could just easily set these bylaws up, and then the police can come through and bust anybody for the federal regulations and put them away for mandatory minimum sentences of 2 years a pop or whatever.
And they acknowledge that it's an illegal
Yeah.
substance.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the bylaw.
420.
Happy 420,
everybody. Happy
but
420.
see, here's the thing. The VPD are not going to do that. They're not busting the dispensaries now, so they're not going to in the future that we can tell. But it's possible the VPD will come up with some rules saying you have to have a doctor's note. As it stands now, they don't. They haven't. So
There's
that's
so
why
many
we're saying
ludicrous aspects
that it's
here.
legalizing
Okay,
all
well-
marijuana because there's nothing about medical in the damn bylaws. It actually virtually legalizes all anything.
But the whole
marijuana.
thing is the medical is set up by the
Over
United
19.
Nations, which is a law. It's a Schedule 1 drug, right? So then the city puts in a regulation. They put in a bylaw saying that you can sell a licensed Schedule 1 narcotic. Does it state that in that license that they can sell a Schedule 1 narcotic? It just says that they're able to sell marijuana, right? I haven't. There's certain things I haven't read in there, and there's certain things that need to be asked about. I mean, does it state that I'm allowed to sell a Schedule 1 narcotic? Well, I don't have a club, but in a state, can I? Is it stating that?
So I just got an email right now
Yeah.
that says that the city is asking that people who came to the first information session, they're asking them not to come to the second information session. Yeah, they don't want anybody who came to the first one to come to the second one.
But there was so many unanswered questions at the first one. Why wouldn't you be able to come to the
I'm
second?
happy I wasn't at the first one.
That's no, it's brutal. This is all brutal.
It is so many areas that they could be under attack for. Like they acknowledge that people are going to be selling, like you say, a Schedule 1 narcotic, but they're banning you selling that same narcotic if it's surrounded by some other food product.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense. In this
Well,
bag you have, and in this bag it's illegal.
See, they're
because
getting-
But then
that's
we're
a
gonna go
food
back
product,
to
so you'd have to have food regulations come into that whole thing.
places sell food all over this city. It's
Yeah.
not a hard thing to do.
Yeah, that's true.
You're looking at
Right,
a
it's not.
different kind of. They're trying to go on a legal thing. It's interesting because it's just with the same thing what they did in like other countries and stuff like that. Everybody's trying to follow suit in some kind of a way of taking a look to the United Nations law. Now that stuff is all started with medical and for scientific research, which we know.
What's the law about denying somebody the medicine that they decide they want to take for themselves? I mean,
Well, then that
certainly
comes
some-
under the charter, right?
You
Which
would
that's
think.
what we're fighting for under the Charter 7 for our right to continue to grow. So there's so many different fights we got on
The thing that
on the
stood
government.
out-
It's insane.
Like after watching all this stuff, the thing that really stood out to me, or just made it seem like to me when I, really thought about it, is that I don't see how this stuff is going to stand up. Like I don't see how under a constitutional challenge that half of this shit would be able to make it through court.
I agree.
Because it's so contradictory, some of the things that they're doing.
But in the meantime, these store owners have had to get rid of their product, and there's patients out there desperately going from dispensary to dispensary trying to find some baked goods and buy what they can right now. It's putting people into great distress is what's happening here.
It's distressing to patients. It's distressing to the people who aren't going to be able to continue operating their business. Some of them that have been in the community for years doing this. Like, they're even shutting down the Compassion Club and Dana's place.
Like we were taking a look at some of the people who have been here
Yeah.
for the longest and have set up the
Literally the longest here are going to have to move, even though the schools...
Wait a second here. And then where are they going to
after.
find a place? Because it's already being a free fall. Everybody's grabbed those locations because bigger enterprises have came in and already have purchased those properties.
And you know how we're all, up in arms about the LPs having a monopoly. Now it's going to be the companies that get in by August 21st that here in the city, nobody after August 21st is allowed to apply. And once those first companies get in, and you have to have a place ready, a place at least set aside that they can come and check out and stuff. If you don't have that by August 21st, you're fucked. You're not going to get your in, and that means that in the future, they probably won't open this up for years. Because each one of those monopoly license holders can open 5 dispensaries at any time they want.
Yep.
And those dispensaries don't have to be plotted by August 21st. So once you're in, you got 5 in the future. So
depending on how the elections go, it won't be long down the road that these places will be bought out. These places will be bought out by the big boys. We'll have Shoppers Drug Mart and Molson's owning the dispensaries.
They're non-transferable.
Not transfer. So what?
Non-transferable.
What happens if the owner dies?
A corporation is not allowed to own them. It's either a non-profit or a sole proprietorship that's allowed to own, and that's
because if you're a corporation, they can't come after you. But if you're sole proprietorship and you're a person, they can legally take your ass to court and put you in jail and take everything you own. So they can't do that if you're a corporate company, if you're a limited company. That's very interesting to put that into place. So basically, they haven't no corporation come into play. So basically, they're saying that no licensed producers can get into check. So that's kind of nice to see, in a sense, because they just told me that a licensed producer cannot get in on the game with these storefronts because the way they're set up, that no corporation can own them.
They can't own one, but they can still get in on the game.
But they can supply it.
See, and that's what's so shady about all of this is this whole. I mean, they have all these strict regulations. They even have criminal record checks, but police information checks, which are much more
insidious.
Yeah, they have way more information.
Oh yeah, anytime you've had any contact with information.
And the thing about those,
they don't have a warehouse that big.
They're not giving the criteria by which the city will judge what's in your police information check, which will disqualify you, and which points of it will disqualify you. So they're not telling people what it is that they did illegally in the past that might disqualify them from being a license holder, which is very distressing. And that checkpoint doesn't happen until the 3rd stage. So you could go through your whole entire licensing process for 2 stages, getting your place set up, getting all your stuff, and then the check comes, and they might be like, no, we don't like that you were dealing this drug.
You got guys that are spending millions of dollars on the same float, 1.6 million being denied their licenses, 1.2 million denied their license halfway through their things. And other guys are halfway through it, now they just want out. They're just like, you know what, this is bullshit, we're halfway through this, we spent this money, we don't want to go any farther because we're just going to spend another $1 million and we're going to get a denial anyways.
No, it's just totally
it's a very interesting.
And really,
the system is really changing. Big money is in play, and it has to do with the oil.
The city doesn't want to deal with this, so they're just kind of like figuring out the simplest thing that's going to get it off of their shoulders and allow some of these things to exist.
Well, this wasn't it. I mean, in Kimberley, they licensed a dispensary up there by just putting it in a category, giving it a license, don't worry about it. Here they're setting up a huge scheme of bi-monthly inspections on all dispensaries that are left.
Bi-monthly?
Bi-monthly. That's what the $30,000 is supposed to cover.
Bi-monthly, it means 2 different things. It means either every 2 months or twice a month.
It's twice a month.
Twice a month, okay.
Twice a month. Every 2 weeks, they're going to go into every dispensary and just check and see if you've got ashtrays kicking
just
around.
That's what they're spending about $30,000
That's what they say that money is for.
Holy
no, they said
shit.
policing.
But they don't go inspect hardly any other businesses like that. I mean,
and
they
why
don't.
Would they?
They said policing.
What about alcohol?
They said policing was their big thing at the first hearing.
Okay, well, that's all crazy shit.
Well, that's the policing they're talking about is internal policing from the city within city inspectors that they're going to set up this big bureaucry for.
It's after 4:20 now. We haven't really been smoking enough pot.
I'm going to totally.
But what I want to do, we got.
I've been going pretty solid, actually. You know what?
Throwing joints
a couple big joints early.
This guy can roll a pretty good joint.
This guy rolls a pro joint.
Wow.
He is the expert joint roller, and I gotta say,
I'll go head to head with you though.
That's a good joint. Oh, are you in this competition too?
Huh?
He's the judge, but we have a competition of some others.
Join the competition.
Okay.
Do you want in on this competition?
What happened? You go blindfolded?
There was a competition. I rolled. This is just a joint out of my
bag.
What
do I roll? My weed, your weed? Who's rolled the weed?
What's wrong with that joint?
Well, it's a little pregnant, Neil. It's a little pregnant, a little airbag.
I got 35 years of experience plus.
So that's the criteria.
I still say it's a pretty good joint.
I would have thought it was about how it
ingests
into your body. And you know my own natural filter there by just folding it in the top. You see that? So I don't have to put the cardboard in there. And
Yeah. So now, one thing we haven't talked about, and while we're lighting these joints, we probably should. That's the ban on vapor lounges.
oh
So
man.
the city of Vancouver, as part of the regulations of marijuana-related businesses, they're going to ban vapor lounges outright. They've said vapor lounges cannot exist. Anybody that's found smoking in a vapor lounge, they say, if we continue to stay open, what they will do is anybody, if they come around in their inspections, they find smoking, they will give that person a $250 fine, and they will give the proprietor of the business a $500 fine.
Wow.
$750 per person. They can make a lot of money walking in here.
Oh yeah, couldn't they?
Holy, they could put like a $30,000 night, no problem. That's insane.
And
Don't let them in the front door.
We're gonna stay open.
Don't we have guards at the front door?
We might have to get one, and they have to get a warrant to come in.
And a guy at the front door to make sure everybody that comes in is not a scumbag
a
fucking
person.
cop.
Do the math on that. I've been here on a night. There's been 100 plus people in here.
We're going to set up semi-private shops.
That's a lot of money.
See,
Members
so
only.
That's really bad. And it's a weird thing because the city of Vancouver
David.
claims that they're so helpful to patients and they have these safe inhalation sites for other things and safe injection sites and so on and so forth. Where are people to go to smoke their pot if
Sidewalk.
say, they don't have a
The
smoking
sidewalk.
apartment?
Sidewalk.
The sidewalk, yeah, that's the only
Legally,
place.
they're allowed to.
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to
I've
go
had
out.
this. I had
But
this.
what-
I had the argument with RCMP.
See, there's a
with
stigma
it.
against marijuana users, and grandma
Mr. David
might
Malmo Levine's
not
going to
feel
take the seat.
comfortable going out on the street. Grandma in her wheelchair or whatever might not feel comfortable packing up every time she needs to take her medicine. And now David Malmo Levine was at the information session yesterday with us as well. Stood up, had a few really great questions. David, one of the things that your first question was, how expensive are these licenses compared to other licenses in the city? Are they the most expensive?
I said, are these the most expensive licenses in Vancouver history? And the woman holding the conference, the main speaker, said, oh, I don't know that information. And I said, are they the most expensive licenses right now? And then someone else shouted, yeah, they're the most expensive. And I said, what's number two? They said, casinos. And I said, and how much are those? 11 grand.
Yeah.
So this is like
wow.
triple the next highest license cost. And it's for casinos, which none of which are doing poorly, none of which have a problem coming up with that amount of money, and none of which are a persecuted minority
Casinos
of people.
Casinos just
people who
generate
are
money.
Casinos just make money off nothing. They don't even
Attracted.
have
No,
like,
people's
overhead.
addiction.
They don't really help cure cancer. I don't know of anyone that help with the cancer treatment.
There's no medical casinos.
It's no medical. They're all recreational, and
They're all highly addictive.
we are taxed at the triple rate to them, not because they're operating under any sort of reason thing.
David, since we don't have a legal opinion yet about the bylaws themselves, I just quickly want your opinion on the title of my show today and the concept that yesterday, and in the bylaws themselves, we found out that this is actually the legalization of recreational marijuana. Is that, what do you think about that? Is that going out on a limb too far?
Nobody showed me where in the regulations it says that you can't just sell outright with no... I mean, you have to be a member of CAMCD if you're going to be a compassion club.
Yeah.
But if you pay the 30 grand, you don't have
Licensed
to be
dealer.
a member of CAMCD.
It says licensed dealer.
And they don't have any requirements for practitioners in that category either.
No.
That's just the outright legalization for adults model. Pay money up front, no bullshit.
It sounds like Colorado and Washington.
It sounds like Colorado and Washington.
Which they did plagiarize pretty much for the rest of
Now,
them.
I'm not a lawyer, but I sure would like to hear the opinion of a lawyer
Right.
on that topic, because if that's true, they just legalized marijuana. It didn't.
Johnny?
It was just a slight murmur from about half the audience that went, hmm?
No, but even...
And then everybody else just right over the top of their heads. They managed to legalize pot when no one was looking.
Yeah.
And just at the same time as they were doing the med
Kind
rigs,
selections in the house.
I think they're
on the show today.
they're
as well.
anticipating either a really generous NDP legalization model or a liberal legalization model, and they just said, okay, let's get all these people in that way.
Yeah, well, unless the VPD, this is what I keep saying, comes up with their own model and says, well, we're
They
not going to
enforce
allow
law.
this. Because the VPD could still bust whoever they want, even aside from the bylaws. There's still laws against this stuff.
The VPD their budget is controlled by City Hall. And if City Hall spends all this time on a big optics thing to say, we're the most progressive city on earth, look at us regulating med pot, and then the cops fuck it up for them, they're going to be pissed off, and they're going to find their budget
Pull their
fucked
funding.
with.
Yeah, they're going to get
So
some.
it's whoever pays the piper gets to call the tune. And because the city has purse strings control of the VPD budget, the VPD is going to toe the line of the city. I just think the city could either turn this into a heavily policed, highly discriminatory process, or it could be super fucking flex and allow enough loopholes to allow a majority of the clubs to continue. It's all how they decide to play it.
It begs the question, will the VPD be busting the bigger growers who are supplying these dispensaries, first of all? And also, since the federal guideline now says that the pot itself is illegal or you are illegal carrying it, if the pot does not have a label from an LP with the expiry date on it and it's not past the expiry date, the police in Vancouver could bust you, or if you drive outside the city limits of Vancouver, you could be arrested right away for your legal Vancouver weed.
There's
I
this is not legalization that I envision, even if it is legalization of adult sales that the police are going to look the other way on.
Right.
I envision the type of legalization where the same legal risks to marijuana exist currently now for coffee beans. That is basically nothing. I'd even go.
Model.
I'd
Johnny,
go.
there's a joint right
Go
here.
as far as to say the organic coffee model is warranted,
passing them back
and that the
forth.
real
Yeah, that's what we do.
criminals here are the guys who sell chemical fertilizers. And I'd say go after all of those guys and leave us the heck alone, because that's your smoking concerns there, your tobacco concerns, all your pot concerns, all your ecological. A lot of your ecological concerns are with soil depletion. We need a living soil, a healthy living soil with no radioactivity or just background levels of radioactivity. You can get that with organics. You can't with synthetics. And it kills the soil. And so I'd say organic coffee bean model is the best pot model you can have, because it's inclusive. Anyone who wants to grow can grow. Anyone who wants to deal can deal. Anyone who wants to use can use. And that's all you need. Organic certification so that you don't hurt anybody with the fertilizers you're using. And then no harm done.
The expert's talking, but he doesn't have a microphone. Here, let's get him.
I will repeat what you say if you make it concise.
No, we're gonna give him a microphone. Yeah. You might
Oh, there you go. Grab the mic.
From your face 'cause it's a little heavy. For sure.
Go, Flav.
From what we can tell from some regulatory side work that I dabble in as well, basically, think home wine kits, home beer kits.
Yeah.
You got to buy it, you pay some taxes, you get it sort of controlled a little bit to some degree, but you can still brew it in your basement.
The reason
I don't
I use
agree
coffee-
with that,
the
but
reason
that's
I
where
use
it could go.
The reason I use
The expert
coffee
is
and
headless.
not
Don't put your
alcohol
head down, or they'll
as
see
a,
you now. Expert.
ideal
now
model.
They saw you. Just slightly. They saw your gorgeous beard that you have there.
That's fine. Anything from here to here.
Yeah. Okay.
The reason
So, the expert's headless. He is an incognito kind of guy.
Explain that. Please continue.
Yes.
the reason I use the coffee bean model as opposed to the alcohol model is the coffee bean model also protects children from the black market. And I consider the black market a greater threat to kids than the marijuana misuse possibilities could be. So if we look at the ultimate best model that we eventually want to get to eventually one day, that's the coffee bean model. The interim model that's acceptable is the home beer and home wine models, because it still prevents economic monopoly from existing.
Totally.
But that's just the interim step. The final step is we have to protect teenagers from black market harms. I was a teenage pot user. I started in my teens. Most people who smoke pot start in their teens. That means we have to protect a majority of our people, because they all go through that period where they're young and they have problems scoring, and not everybody on the street is as nice as everybody else on the street. And one or two bad people are like, all right, do you want to score some weed? I need a favor too. And then it goes from there. It's as bad as you can imagine it. So we need to get our teens away from that type situation, go to a dealer who really wants to keep his license. And so if there's a doctor requirement for teens, that's fine. That guy will make sure he talks to the doctor personally when he has a teenage customer, because he doesn't want to fuck up that sale. Talk to their parents if there's a parental permission policy.
You don't want to pull a Neil Magnuson.
I mean, the
Just joking. Selling to youth.
That's right. The Senate recommended 16 years of age for recreational sales of marijuana. And that is a good place to start, I think. And then eventually just anybody who wants to buy pot can buy pot in a regulated, safe point of sale
it
marketplace.
doesn't make... To me, it should be the same as alcohol, or, I mean, if a doctor gives you a prescription for marijuana, it shouldn't matter what age you are. That's absolutely ludicrous.
That's right, and that's one thing the city got wrong with these regulations is the no minors thing.
Oh, they got a lot wrong.
What if your mom or dad are incapacitated or not alive, or your guardian's incapacitated, you can't go, and you're a teenager and you have ADHD or you got cancer? Why can't you pick up your own pot? Why? Because the city feels it's better to not have to deal with that stigma than to educate the rest of the world about how cannabis doesn't harm teens, even though I wrote it in a book and made all the information easily available to anyone who wanted it.
Find it on cannabisculture.com.
That's right. They didn't want to touch that, so they kicked that one down into the future for future people to deal with. But eventually we're going to have to deal with cannabis and youth. And the fact of the matter is, when you're young, an antidepressant and a relaxant are the two things you need most out of all the medicines out there. It's the two things that might actually fucking get you through junior high and high school. And so I used it, and it kept me from slapping my parents, slapping my instructors, slapping any of the authority figures I happened to meet as I went about my day. And it helped me deal with thoughts of suicide. It helped me deal with the pressures and pains of having hormones for the first time, but no social graces. And it helped me deal with everything. And I found it was good for high pleasure, low pressure activity, things I enjoyed doing. So I avoided in my morning classes, which are all numbers and physics and chemistry and science. And in my afternoon classes, which are all imaginative, and I enjoyed it, I got high and I did great. And that's what, everyone should have access to is cannabis, especially teens, because teens need pot. Teens need pot. That's the new reality we're going to have to shove down the throats of society, get them to deal with. It's just
Junior
another
high
reality. Teens need pot. Deal with it.
Junior high was the worst 3 years of my life. High school came summer between it was where I found weed, and it became the best 3 years. It's just I completely agree.
Go. Okay, well, you know what? I think we're going to switch topics and get onto this joint rolling competition because...
Oh, wait, can I do the Indiegogo plug?
Oh, of course, David. Plug your...
In the spirit of protecting the cannabis farmers markets, the inclusive economy, the inclusive model, the demonstration model.
420 Vancouver,
420
we're talking about.
And July 1st, April 20th, July 1st.
Cannabis Day.
All the pot-selling holidays we have, all four of them. That's the Global Marijuana March. We have a moving marijuana market that saunters down the street and sells pot and brownies. That's first Saturday in May.
No, what is the 4th?
Oh, and the Grasstown, every 5 years we do the Grasstown anniversary of the global, or the Great Grasstown Police Riot at 71.
Forgot about that one.
So that's every 5 years, and that's happening in 2016, the 45th anniversary. So anyway, we have these demonstration farmers markets. We want to defend them. I've got Paul Watson's lawyer. Paul Watson is the Sea Shepherd guy who sinks ships as a form of protest. He stopped Japan from whaling. He's a hero. He's one of the founding members, the original members of Greenpeace, or the early member number 7 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And his lawyer has agreed to represent me if I could come up with the $7,000 or $7,500 for a retainer. So I think it's possible if we can get everybody who's involved with the cannabis farmers markets, or everyone who wants to become involved with the cannabis farmers markets, who wants to see that model of inclusion, all growers, all dealers, all users welcome. If you want to see that exist and continue and see that eventually become the model we have as a society, then please donate to this Indiegogo campaign. You can see on the homepage of Cannabis Culture this website we've got going on.
It's on the homepage of CC right now.
Right now, check it out.
And after tonight, it'll be on the Expert Joints website as well.
Right on, and maybe we can put it in a links section of this show.
I can definitely put it into the chat here.
Is there an info box?
There is a live chat, David.
But I mean, like an info box that goes with the show.
Of course there is. In the teaser, I can also.
Could
add
you
that.
stick it in the teaser, please?
I would be happy to add it.
Check
to the
out
teaser for you, David.
The Farmers Market Indiegogo Save the Farmers Market campaign. I think I'm going to argue that it's okay to commit a small crime in order to prevent a big crime. That's the necessity defense found in common law, section 8.3 of the criminal code. It's common law defense of necessity. And it was leading cases, PERCA, but there's also winning cases on civil disobedient groups that have committed small crimes of, refusing to exit embassies, occupying embassies.
Thank you,
and
somebody in the chat.
They won in court.
28 dabs. Awesome. Beat me to the punch.
Making the anti-genocide argument. So I think that could be made for cannabis farmers markets as well, or inclusive models of legalization. We need to be able to commit those small crimes to prevent the bigger crime of wiping out the medically autonomous people and the inclusive people. Yeah, I know. And that's Neil Magnuson, the original pot dealer in question, who they accused of later on of dealing to teens, but at the time said that obedience was the only concern they had when they interviewed, or when they talked to Neil and the cameras were rolling. They didn't talk about teens. They talked about obedience. And Neil was not going to be obedient, so Neil got arrested, and I interfered with that arrest. A bunch of other people did too. And it's all being also recorded in Vansterdam Comics. We put, I think we're going to do 20 or 25 pages on July 1st in the comic book.
Cool, very cool. Bob
Smoking
High.
weed in the paddy wagon.
Bob
yeah.
High's latest masterpiece.
Bob High has done about 225 or 230 pages of a 420-page comic book.
Jesus.
Mega epic comic book. Probably the greatest comic book in the history of all comic books.
Well, now, here's the crazy thing about this. There's 2 epic comic books coming out very soon.
Yeah.
Not only David's, which is based around Vansterdam itself, but also Mr. Dana Larson's book about the history of cannabis in Canada.
Totes.
Which is kind of a larger sort of scope. But I don't know if the book is going to be larger than 420 pages.
No, he's doing a more concise history.
Yes.
In black and white, so it's cheaper and available to more people. A mass-produced.
Yours is all in color as well.
Mine is all in color. It's going to be hard copy, extra large to like the European comic books. So mine is more kind of a selector, a more select audience, but a more epic story.
I was just reading yesterday upstairs on one of the counters in the lounge. There was an old Cannabis Culture magazine, and I was flipping through it, and it had a Bob High comic, Bob High the Science Guy, and it was the one where he explains why certain strains are purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just full of amazing information, and I wanted to say that me and Bob are working on a show.
Oh.
We're working on a show. We've been talking about it for a long time, but we're actually working on it now.
Ooh.
And it's going to be called Bob High the Science Guy.
Nice.
And I don't want to give away too much, but it's going to be a pretty dope show, so I'm really excited about it. It's one of my most favorite concepts for a show that we've done in a long time, so
I can't wait for that.
It's going to be cool.
It's not TV, it's Pot TV.
That's
High
right.
as you get, off of the net. One click and you're hooked. Ooh, baby.
Yeah, David. Oh, mic drop.
Good job.
Catch it after
That was an effective mic drop.
It was
Well done.
still
Bam.
a little too much of an impact here.
Okay, well, thank you, David Malma-Levine, and thanks for your comments at the thing yesterday. That was you and I. Somebody came up to
I
me
missed
afterwards
it.
and were like, "You and David had a lot of good comments, and we're getting scrappy."
We keep it really real.
That's right.
R-E-A-L.
I like putting the heat on these guys. Though, did you see all the people in suits that were sitting around the edge of the room were shuffling around and looking at each other with kind of scared eyes? And just before you go, David, the guy who stood up, the policy guy who actually wrote these things, stood up to try and explain a question when it was asked whether or not the health services that are part of the nonprofit regulations have to be on premises or not. Now, the entire time they've been saying this is very strict according to the bylaws. What's in the bylaws is the bylaws. That's strict. And then, yeah, of course. And then so they said, well, on this one, the guy stood up and said, though it doesn't say it in the bylaws, just like a bathroom being on site is implicit, this is implicit that it's in the same site. And everybody was like, no.
I said, and I quoting me, I said, listen, this is all new territory. We're pioneer. This is not like a bathroom, which is an expected necessity. This could be interpreted against us, and it could be interpreted for us.
Right.
So, if we're stuck with these regs, you're stuck with these regs too.
Yeah. No, and he walked away. He walked away sheepishly with his tail between his legs.
Well, we told him what's what. We're going to interpret it our way, not your way.
Yeah. It's yeah.
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 Well,
Okay.
that's
Well,
the
thanks,
real
David.
question everybody's got to ask.
But it was funny that they were claiming implicity. implicitness.
I can't say it.
United
Words.
we stay high.
Don't know words.
Divided, we don't get high anymore.
Yeah, there's a mouthful.
Putting it in terms everyone can understand. United, we stay high. Divided, nobody gets high anymore.
Thank you, David Malmalevine. So let's get this joint rolling competition on the go here, because
can see
last night
joints being
upstairs we
rolled.
had some really wicked joints rolled. Or at least one looked really. See, I was the standout visualness of one of them. I was really impressed with. I'm not sure about the burn of that one, but we'll have to see how it goes on today's show. So why don't we get our contestants up here? Who's in on the competition here? Johnny, are you in on this, or what's your story?
Well, yeah, I'll roll some weed.
You're gonna roll a joint too as part of this competition?
Sure.
Okay.
I have to. I'm kind of sitting
You
here.
can scoot down on the couch though, and let these boys
Okay.
scooch in if that's possible. I know you got your gear here, but let's do it. Johnny's my Ed McMahon. So rules. Okay, we got to set up some.
Okay, we got to get some rules.
Yeah, the expert
Yeah,
over
let's
here.
get
Let's
the
see what
judge
he
up
wants
here.
to tell us here. See, I don't really have any rules other than, it
Okay.
looks good and it burns
Basically,
well.
roll your signature joint. I'm not looking for novelty joints built like, as I call it, the Eiffel Tower. We don't need to see crosses and windmills and all that shit. Come with your good one paper. Whether you're a coner, whether you like
already
them
got one
long,
rolled.
fat, long, skinny. If you guys all want to use the same weed, I got a bag of blueberry over here just to throw it back for the old school show. If you've got your own weed, please feel free to roll your own weed as well too. I'm going to be judging. If you want, I have all the rollies you can use, and I would kind of prefer if you dipped into the profile over here, so we had some comparisons. But if you have a signature affiliation, well, then that's
I
okay.
need some zigzag raws.
I think they're using
and
smoking.
I need organic.
Yeah, what's the rollies we're using there?
Well, I've got smoking silvers, smoking organics, and smoking browns here as well, so pure hemp. If you choose not to use
Can
those for
someone
any
go
of
get
your
me
own
the
objections,
whole
that's
tray?
cool. Feel free to
Can you
use
bring
your
me
own.
all the
But if you
rollies
want them,
from the
I've got
tray?
'em.
Bring the tray rollies, thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Now
have a
let's-
wide
now,
selection coming out of
Shout
right
outs
now.
to smoking and pure
Johnny,
hemp
pass
for
the
the
mic down.
good-
and,
Okay, here we
let
go.
these boys
selection.
Give us their intros. Oh, there's a mic there. So tell us who
Very
you
nice.
are and what your story is and why you think you're competing.
Yeah, that's the closest thing they have right now.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna widen the
Great
camera
people
out a
too.
bit.
They've been super supportive. For those who don't know, oh sorry, sorry, I didn't realize you guys were still chatting. Sorry, please go ahead, continue. Oh,
You guys tell us who you are and why you think you're entering the competition. Why is your joint the one?
I have no choice but to be here to beat him. That's why I'm here, to roll a joint to beat him.
I'm just here because he's so cocky and thinks he's the man for everything. So I think it's time that a scrawny guy puts a big guy in his place.
Okay. All right. And so did we agree on a rollie?
2 grams? Are we on 1 gram?
Smoking brown, however many you want.
Smoking browns.
yeah, it's your signature one paper is what I'm looking for. If you roll a king, if you roll a pinner, if you roll a fatty, whatever you want to do, a signature one paper. I got browns and silvers over here, pure hemps and organics if you want them. Anyone else in the room too, you can get on this if as well. If you over there and think you can roll your ass out of bed, let's see it.
Just checking our mics.
I hope you win too. I hope you win.
I really do.
I want to go to work after this.
So I saw one of the joints last night that looked really dope. I was super impressed by the rolling style. And the other one, I was like, it didn't look too terrible, but it was kind of a little sloppy here and there, a little airbag. I'm not going to say whose was what, but then when we got to the burning, one kind of canoed a little bit. Though it did, he's giving it away here, but it did auto-correct itself, I got to say. And that was a pretty dope joint by the end of it. The other one burned perfect the whole way through. And we did have witnesses to the auto-correctness. There was nobody, licking glue strips or anything like that. No fire.
If anyone needs it as well too.
So, here, I'm going to get the roll cam.
Please.
The roll cam set up. Haha. Now, Joint Expert, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Joint Experts, the website is, while these guys are doing this, and what your whole story is over there?
Well, thanks very much. So the website Expert Joints started about a year and a half ago as an amalgamation of 20-some years of smoking weed and rolling a well-put-together joint. It progressed from, packing a cigarette tube to doing it blindfolded, and very much if you build it, they will come. Oh, we got our first entry here.
Mr. Magnuson's joint is in.
Okay, we will.
Okay,
I'm going to keep them all blind. I want to see them all. I want to get.
Yeah.
I would like to have. Actually, it'd be great if you could turn them into Jeremiah and then not let me see whose is whose, so I can afterwards with no.
So just so we
no
know
bias.
who's paying you off.
Exactly right. Although I could probably be bought off.
I know which one's which.
You should know your own. You should know your own style afterwards. Come on
high.
now.
Shouldn't there be a time limit on this?
Well,
We're on to what, 6?
we didn't really have a time limit, but it can't, within the hour.
It's the overall who rolls the best joint. Who rolls the baddest joint in the house? Well, hey, that's something to it. And you guys already smoked mine. No, if you can get it in before the interview is basically done and Jeremiah says we got to move on to something else, then you're in. It's the way I look at it. How many entries can you put in? I think 1 per person. But you can redo it if you want while these guys are waiting. But I think, anyway. So we do at our site basically advice, videos. It all really came down from watching videos on YouTube that were guys shot with camera phones and shot with webcams. And it just got to really bad quality videos with even really worse advice. And I said, there's no way that we can do that. I got to go out, and it's Vancouver. Everybody in here is either into weed or film, and in most cases, both. Save BC Film and save BC Pot. Well, I got to introduce you to some friends of mine.
So you teach people to roll these expert joints?
Basically, it started with videos, and actually, right as of just the other day, kind of on a cool note, if you type how to roll a joint in Google right now, the first thing that comes up is our well put together, the best how to roll a joint video ever. Nice. Very, very cool. Got over 600,000 views already. It's really going along well. Our latest video is actually shot right here in the building. Features an interview with the princess herself, Jodie Emery. Amazing video. Actually, it's available on Pot TV. You can find the links on Cannabis Culture as well, too. Thanks to Jeremiah for the love. Basically, we're...
You guys
over submit it to Jeremiah.
I'm bonging it.
So... Basically, it started with videos and articles and advice that we could get, and on our site's an amalgamation, all that. It's basically become a big magazine, if you will, to it, and ode to doing weed the best way you can. Because you all know that if you roll a joint right, it gets you higher. If you got something that doesn't burn very well or burns really quick, you're sucking on it too hard, you end up really just getting head rush from getting dizzy. But if you get a good, long, proper burning joint, you get more out of your weed, you get a better experience, and that's sort of what we preach. And even just sort of in life in general, I mean, do it right the first time. Do it the best way you can, or you're going to end up fighting it. That spread over to our site, which now has led to the latest announcement we're happy to make. After the new logo and the new site we dropped, and new merch coming soon. Plug. I
got the crowd cam here, but...
Last week, we started the actual expert assistance program, where you get to sit down with an actual joint expert who will teach you how to roll a very well put together joint and give you proper techniques one-on-one. Actually, we also have the ability to... it's heating up over here. The guys are really putting some effort into it.
Yeah. Wow, that's a fancy special one.
I talk forever, so it's all good. You guys got to like midnight. Well, I mean, it all is. We'll look at the burn, but I mean, I'm going overall. I can take a few things into consideration. Again, I'm going more, at this point, I'm going on technique. I'm going on overall end result. I'm going for visual. I'm going for distribution. I'm going for evenness. Well, I just rolled like 8 of them that we smoked that first round, and they were, so why the fuck
they were
not?
Pretty dope. Yeah, you do roll very nice joints. So now we do have all our entries in.
Great.
I guess, is that everybody? Is there anybody else out there?
I think we got a last-minute one coming in here. Anybody else from the back of the house in the other room?
Oh, Tommy rolls one here.
Time
wow,
is ticking away.
And yeah, as well as our, to try and keep it back on topic to some degree, as well as our expert assistance where we'll teach you how to roll a joint in person. You can actually get us, and I got a Skype interviews we can do for that too. I've got a worldwide assistance. We've got our expert events. Back in the 80s, they had all the... Well, depends on geographic. If I got to fly to Dubai, it's going to cost a little more. If I'm down here, well, we'll figure it all out. More information coming soon. Let's put it that way. It was just a big announcement this week. And we're actually also going to start a new service for people too, where we'll actually roll your weed for you. For a very nominal fee, a very affordable, reasonable fee. No. You provide the weed, or we'll meet you at your local weed spot, or friendly vape lounge, or canna-friendly spot, or if there gets to a point where, you know, we get enough relationship, maybe we can meet a neutral location at your house if that comes to it at some point. But we'll meet you in a like environment. You bring the weed that you want, or we'll meet you right at your dispensary. And actually, we're trying to we're close to, I don't want to make any announcements yet, but we're close to having actually in-house service available at a few local dispensaries where you'll either be able to leave it behind or meet us there at certain times, and we'll actually roll it for you for a very nominal fee. And
all right. Well, that's cool.
Well,
Neil, they can't hear you, so the questions you're asking are not being heard by our viewers at home. What did you
give them a mic?
What did you ask?
Just how many are on the team?
Oh, how many joint rollers does he have? Yeah.
The team is ever expanding. And actually, if you want to join the team, please get at us on our expertjoints.com site. We got a feature area called Ask the Expert. Right in there, that's how you contact us.
Okay, so we have our joints in now.
Brilliant.
So we are going to show them off to the cam, and then we'll get our expert to look at them
Let
as
me
well.
clear a spot here.
So we can pass these around. So entry number 1 here, you can look at that there. There's, I don't want to give away too much, but, I'm making my judgment. Expert, you take a look at that and then pass it through the crowd. There we go. Yeah. So that was part 1. So here's entry number 2. Entry number 2. Now, the first couple entries here don't have filters in them. So some of them do. Yeah, what about...
If that's your style, if that's your style, I'm going for your style. I don't want you to roll a joint that you think that, oh, he's going to like this. What is your signature joint? When you wake up and you roll one, how do you do it? I want
Entry 2, expert.
And number two.
Aha. Now here's entry number 3.
Okay.
This one is quite nice. It's got looks like a baseball bat.
So bring back number 1 again. Great, thank you.
What's the questions over here?
We can pass them around a minute. I just need to see them all together here. If you don't roll a filter, then if you're happy with submitting the joint, let's see it. Okay, and number 2, we got that. Let's see number 3 there.
This is number 3 here. Okay. 3, and now number 4. We're gonna save this one. Oh, are you taking that one back? Yeah, I'll go. Okay.
Better do it quick.
Oh, he threw it. Well, hey.
Come on, man, throw it in. Come on, man, throw it in.
As long as it was before I grabbed it. As long as it was before I grabbed it.
I want to see it.
I hadn't grabbed it yet.
I want to see it.
So.
Okay, well, I mean,
But this
trust
one,
me,
they
there's
both
no
have
losers in
filters
this
in
group.
them.
This is a competition that has absolutely no losers, which is a great thing.
Oh no, they're all. Anybody who doesn't win.
Is there a
loses.
4th and a 5th, or what do we got? We got a verdict over here.
This is 4. Okay, and now 5. Now the order here was a little screwed up, so here's 5. Dun, 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 dun. This is 5. It has some goo on the end of it.
Oh, well, that's a new thing. Some people are really
kind of
gooing them all
signature.
Okay, let me see. I kind of prefer the goo on the inside as upon the outside. I think it kind of loses a little bit, but it looks cool on Instagram. I can't front, but other than that, novelty
no
joint.
filter on that one. Oh no, I got the goo stuck.
We'll
the
pass it
paper here.
on the pack if it
There
needs
we
to be.
go.
All right,
Okay.
let's get number 4 back there.
And now here's the final entry.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one local just so you.
This one has no. It's not candy wrappered on the end. It's got a filter. That's also a very nice sort of baseball bat shape, quite tight and firm. I'm knocking the weed out of the end. That was my bad. There's actually some wind blowing too, so My bad. There was no weed sticking out of the end of that.
That's all right. I'll take that into consideration. I did
Okay.
note that. I was watching while that was being assembled.
Okay, good. So,
Visually.
all right.
Neil took
So
this.
now the expert has looked at all of them over there. And what do you think? Do we have like a top? Should we do this in like a first, second, and third kind of thing?
I think we can do that.
That seems to be
Okay.
the fair.
So I think in the top 3 at this point, in no particular order, we have joint number 3.
Yeah.
Joint number 3 is in the top 3. for
Joint
sure
number
here.
3 is in the top 3.
Here, Jeremy, I'll give you that to put that on
Okay.
cam.
Yeah.
Number 3 is in the top 3.
Joint 3 is in the top 3. Now we're going to show joint 3 off to you guys again here. Hold on. I'll get joint 3 back.
Joint
Just so you remember.
6? Joint 6. Joint 6 is in there. That was a kind of a no-brainer.
So joint 3, which was the first cool baseball bat looking one.
And I think joint 2. Joint 2.
Joint.
Joint 2. Joint 2 are our top 3 of the
Final
6 entries.
entry.
If I only for the reason why I went with
Joint
them, just
2.
to go with that, is the fact that these number 5, the resonated, the shatter covered one, while delicious, I quite happy with that. No filter, a little crooked at the end, and bit wrinkled. It will banana as it dries. Again, I kind of think personally it makes more sense to do like a little shatter pencil lead through your joints. If you're going to do it, you get more even distribution. Off of this, you end up wasting about half of it to evaporation, really, and you don't catch it. So I love it, visually cool, but didn't quite make it. Joint number 4, very nice overall visually on the top half, but the filter was really, really loose, and that's going to have issues with.
Mm-hmm.
Also a little bit wrinkled towards the top, but again, I think that this one would burn very nice. I can feel a little bit of a run spot in the first sort of top, but once it got settled, once it was around about the second time, it'd be nice and slow and good to go. And the first one came in, again, the no filter. Hang on. This is where I have the microphone. Okay. Some people do prefer it, and I understand it. You can take it right down to the end. I know what the roach clips does. You can get no. Believe me, I understand the argument for what we call the Savage, with no filter. It's folded at the top in a way that keeps it all in there. It absolutely, and I recognize that. But also, I'm sure you realize, you get some resin issues and stuff that can build up there. It's got to catch a little. This is the one, though, that I think, out of everything that I saw, even including a couple of the ones that made it to the end, this is my vote for burns the best. It's solid the whole way through. It's got a little lump in it. It's a little bit... Yeah, there you go. It's visually not the best, but I have a really good feeling this would burn very consistent the whole way.
Oh, we're gonna.
Well, don't worry. Don't worry. We're getting there.
Now wait a sec. That's for
Please.
visual. We have to have a burn as well. So
Well, yes. Do you think? Do you want? Is this like a vote from the crowd to throw this one back into
we have to burn
the
them
top
too.
4?
That's the visual test.
Yeah, but
There's a part 2.
But okay. So the reason we went with those 3 joints as well, because 2 of them definitely had a solid visual to them. They were right there. They looked very, very pretty. They felt very consistent all the way through. One has a little bit of a gap on it. I think it's number 3 down at the bottom. That we'll see how that one comes out. And also, I'm questioning. That's a little bit of a thicker paper there on joint number 6. So that'll be interesting to see how that affects it. But I'm looking forward to burning them all. I'm actually thinking that while we put these 3 into the mix here, it's a really good time to just sort of put these 3 in rotation. I think is the best way to go.
Well,
Yeah.
I say. No, you replaced your whole joint once already. No.
Valiant effort, though.
No,
I
so
appreciate
now we have
everybody.
to. I say we burn them all, and we make a second judgment based on burning, because that's
Exactly.
the important part.
Exactly.
Of the
So we
joint.
get these 3 started going around
So
right
let's-
now.
yeah.
And then if we get a surprise, come up on one of these, or one of these
I'll
drops
let
right
you
down.
light
But
your
yeah, these
own
are the top
joint.
3 at the moment. I'm thinking. So let's
Yeah.
pass them around, spark them up.
Everybody can light their own, just so they can light it in the way that they think is a suitable way. Tommy, you're in the top 3 there, Tommy boy.
Yeah, come get your claim your joints.
And so is Johnny B. Johnny B's in the top 3.
Claim your joints.
I rolled mine the fastest.
Which honestly, I would give you kind of points for. Please, you know what? Take the tray and clean it up.
Okay, there we go.
Just what I used to do.
Now I lost the chat completely here, unfortunately. We're still streaming perfectly, but I don't know what the hell happened there.
Oh, I'll put money on that.
It's totally gone.
I'll put a 20 on it.
That what?
His joint weighs a gram.
Oh, you think?
You got a scale?
Can we? Where's the scale at? No, I don't have a scale here. Well, we are a weed store. Actually, I know. Ask that character right there behind you. I bet he has one.
The best part about it here, no one here has scale because no one sells weed, but David is here.
Ask that guy.
David, you got a scale? You got a scale? Yeah.
See,
Oh.
this is really a nice joint.
He can't carry one
This is
on
my
there.
favorite. This is also my number
Nice job.
one. Like last night, yours was the best. Oh, Dana's in the house.
Dana Larson in the house.
It's already, it's 7. It's now 7 o'clock Winnipeg time, so we're going to have to finish this up pretty quick. While the joints are burning, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to interview our guest, Glenn from the Your Medical Marijuana Dispensary.
A 1.2. That's a 1.2 in the house over here.
His team raided there in
1.2.
Winnipeg by the police, told to shut down. They've been standing up to them.
A 1.2.
We're going to get him on the line in just a second here. Unfortunately, I can't. It's odd. My chat is gone. It's just a spinning wheel now. Oh, now it's back. There we go. Now I can see you guys again. Okay. So, actually, expert, can you pass me that? Pass me that back over here.
I think maybe we should have the top 3 sitting on the couch.
Might as well. Yeah, can you leave?
No, I'm not kicking you out. Tommy, get in here. Tommy. Don't, no, we're not. No, you're coming back. I was like,
Gotta make yourself look presentable.
yeah, get in here. Okay, where's your joints? Are they already lit?
Okay.
They're lit.
Oh man, we had to do this together.
When we get Glenn on the
Okay, I'm
phone,
gonna do this one by myself.
when I get Glenn on the phone, I'm going to ask everybody who's here to try. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, when I get Glenn on the phone, I'm going to ask everybody to try and keep it down a bit so we can actually hear him and converse with him because we've got him by telephone. So just keep that in mind while we're talking to him that we got a conversation going on up here. So let's get him on the line now.
You mean my joint? This is not up here. The filter's
Oh,
way too loose.
let's see. Who's...
That's his around again.
Yeah, where's the other Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Glenn.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, Glenn. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. It's good to have you on the line here. We're just going to make sure that you sound okay to everybody. Chatters, if you guys can let us know if he sounds okay, if it's too heavy or anything out there. Glenn, good to
Okay.
talk with you. Now, I've been following what's going on with you, but I haven't been following the last couple days or, about the last week. So,
Yeah, no problem. No, I have had no problem so far.
Hey, you guys, keep it down. We're talking over.
They haven't been back, so it's just business as usual.
Glenn, maybe what you can do is take us through exactly what happened. Now, you guys have been running your dispensary for a while there. Take us through what the Winnipeg cops did to you guys and what you said to them.
I started Cannabis Day. I went 13 days before they came. I just finished helping someone out of the dispensary, and I walked out to the front of the building, and they were standing at the door. So I invited them in. Come on in. Like, I got nothing to hide, right? I'm not hiding anything. They came and talked to me and told me, was I aware that I was breaking the law and I should be doing this, and please stop. And so I stopped that day because I had too much weight in the building. So then the papers come and did a story on it, and they said I was going to resell medicine on Thursday. Thursday they came with 6 guys, but I wasn't reselling medicine. And then since they did that, I went, okay, well, that's reason for me to phone the news again. So I phoned the news, got everybody back down here, started bringing more awareness, and then we went to the cop shop on a Monday to smoke weed there because there was no one at City Hall. They were all on holiday, so we went to the cop shop. And then the following Tuesday, I opened my doors again.
And you haven't heard anything since the Tuesday?
No, haven't heard anything from them yet.
Wow. So,
and I've been running Tuesday to Saturday from 11 to 7. I'm open, and then Sundays and Mondays I'm closed.
Now, and how long have you guys been open for?
July 1st. I've opened the dispensary July 1st and educating and getting people signed up since March 6th. I opened my doors.
And you guys have a lot of patients.
I had 225 patients when the cops first come in, and then by the time I opened the doors again, I had 400, and now I got closer to about 600 and some patients.
So I guess this is getting you a lot of attention in the media there.
Oh yeah, lots. Like, flip, everybody knows my name. I live in I come from a small town, and the local paper come out yesterday, and I'm in the goddamn local paper out in a small town yet.
Wow.
Everybody picked up on it, and it didn't hurt that Trudeau was in town, and the news went and asked him, well, what do you think about my shop down? Because I was just on the street from where he was, right? And he supports my store, so he supports stores like this, he said.
Now, now, are you guys the only dispensary there in town?
In Winnipeg, yes, so far.
Now,
there's another one going to be opening in a couple of weeks, I believe.
Now, is there a lounge open there?
I have a smoke lounge, yep, and a dispensary and storefront. Sell pipes and shirts and papers and anything you might need, eh?
And so now I missed a little bit of the beginning of what you were saying because it's kind of hard to hear you here. But did the police threaten you, or what was the biggest threat they said, or did they say what they would do to you?
The second time they come, they threatened anybody in the building that they were under criminal investigation, and anybody that worked here would be under arrest when they came back.
Wow. Huh. So I guess at this point, you guys are just kind of going with the flow and going to see what happens.
I'm still here. My oldest daughter that was working with me, she's no longer employed by me because I don't need her arrested for her dad's whatever I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So I just hired another new person, and I got rid of a couple employees, so there's 3 of us actually working now here.
Wow, man. Well, I'm glad
Before
to hear.
Before the police come, there was 5 employees.
It's really good to hear that you're doing that there in the first place, and also that you're standing up for what's right in the face of the police. Now is this the local cops or the RCMP? Don't you guys have a local police force?
Local police.
It's the local cops.
Yeah, local police, and actually where I come from, a small town. Now I'm already going to go pitch to the mayor of the town where I come from, and to the councillors my idea, and then I'll approach the RCMP yet too. I want to open a store where I live in a small town yet.
That, maybe they'll use the Vancouver model.
That's what I've been preaching all along, right? That's where I got my information from. Like my wife said to someone the other day, she said, I wish they would have never took you to Vancouver 2 years ago.
God, yeah, no kidding. Well,
I went down there and I'm going, are you kidding? This is part of Canada? What are we in the Stone Age here? Or what? So then I just started educating myself, and I went, okay, well, this is the way they did it. This is the way that I see that it should be done. So I just decided, okay, well, I started signing people up and educating them first. And then after that, I heard so many stories about people ordering online from government LPs, right?
Yeah.
That I just went, okay, this is not right, man. Someone's got to do something. So I just ended up doing something from the stories that I've heard from the people, right? If they're not strong enough to stand up for themselves, well, I'm strong enough to stand up for all of us.
What you're doing is so important there, because having a center where people can go to find out information about this stuff, to build a community around these things, that's such an important piece of all of this.
And like the government LPs and stuff, none of them will tell these people like 65 years old, they got a lady married. She's never smoked a day in her life. She comes into my shop, wants to learn how to use a bong. I just started laughing at her, right? I'm going, yeah, right. Here, this is how you have to do it. You got to eat it, right? She didn't know the first thing about, what do you mean eat it? So I had to educate her, and then I taught her how to make butter, and I give her some of my butter, and she wants to call it Mary's Magical Butter. So, you know, and then now she knows how to make it herself, so then she saves herself on medicine too, right?
Yeah.
And she's been bringing, actually she's 65. She brought a lady in my shop to get signed up, 72.
Wow.
And she'll be coming in next week with a lady 76 to get signed up.
Yeah, and you know, it kind of blows away the whole stereotypical idea of the stoners. You know, this is people who...
And all the kids, right? Like, I have no kids in my shop. If I wanted to open a shop for kids, I'd let my kids do it, right?
Yeah.
Not myself.
No
my
kidding.
shop is for people... average age of people in my shop would be 45, 50 years old. I have a member, 72, that comes to my shop 3 times a week.
Wow.
And I believe my oldest member is 92.
92, wow.
92.
Well, man, it's so good to hear you there. Now, I'd like to watch what's happening there closely because you say you are getting a lot of media attention. I bet that's probably helping not only get you members.
Well, I believe it's helped because, like I said when I started this, that I wanted to give back to the community. So last week we donated money to Sloan Mission. And it didn't hurt that the Sun paper actually come that day to do a story on me. So they publicized it in the paper that as a group we give to Sloan Mission, donated money for them for whatever they needed it for the people of the street, right?
Cool, man. Well, now, where can people get a hold of you? Like, you guys have a website up on... I saw that you have a Facebook page.
I got a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Your Medical Cannabis Headquarters. And or come to Winnipeg, Manitoba at 1404A Main Street.
That's amazing, my friend, and I'm so glad to talk to you. I've been meaning to call you for a few weeks, actually, ever since I saw it happening there, but it's just been crazy dealing with some of the stuff here as well. But I want to definitely touch base with you again soon to see how things are going there.
For sure. That's good to hear. I would speak to anybody that wants to hear what we have to say about all this, and for other people to start standing up for their own rights, right?
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, it's kind of strange how just even having that base of operations there, it not only becomes a place where patients can learn about marijuana, but it just becomes a hub of marijuana activism in general, because by its own nature, what you're doing is an activist action.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just like here where Mark Emery in Vancouver became that sort of base of operations, and guys like Jeff and Skunk Funk in Saskatoon there, the same kinds of things. Same with, Vapor Central in Toronto. It's very, very important on the activism level as well as for medical marijuana patients themselves. So.
Well, yeah, this way it gives everybody in Winnipeg free, easy access, right?
Yeah.
And they can see what they're buying. And like I said, you mentioned about full model of Vancouver. Well, I've seen something in Vancouver that I do the same thing here. You buy something for me, you're not happy with the product, you bring it back, I'll replace it, and if I don't have something to replace it with, I'll refund your money.
Well,
and I've had no returns so far.
There you go. Good on you, my friend. It was great talking with you, and we'll definitely talk to you again soon.
Thanks, bud. Thanks for having me on.
For sure, Glenn.
Thanks for fighting for us.
Yeah,
Peace, man.
for sure.
Have a good day, you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Great interview. Yeah, man, it's good to see people like that. We need more people like this guy doing that. And there's one of them on the couch now, another pioneer here, Mr. Dana Larson, with his awesome beard that he's still sporting, which I love so much.
What?
Your beard that I
Oh,
always
the beard.
comment
Yeah,
on.
it's not as lush as yours, but I'm working on it.
You
I
know,
trimmed
love
it all back
beards.
recently.
So how you doing, Dana?
I'm tired. I was just down at the Davie Street block party that we're just getting set up there. It's going to be massive, and the Sensible BC's got a table, and we're giving out cards and signing up people and continuing to build our strength and promote our cause.
Dana, since this is a perfect transition, it's totally related. We have Gay Pride this weekend. Dana Larson, why is marijuana the new gay sex?
Well, I wrote a couple of columns about that, and it offended everybody on all sides of the spectrum, I guess. Although I think a lot of people understood what I was trying to say too, right? I mean, the propaganda and the attacks and the lies that have been used against the gay community and other communities as well, whatever marginalized group it is, there's very common things they use, and one of them is they're after our kids. And you used to get fired for being a teacher if you were gay. The Boy Scouts of America is just about to allow gay people to be scout leaders, but if you're a marijuana smoker, you're not going to get to be a scout leader. And so this kind of idea that like all people want to do is just get your kids high or get after your kids is a very common a thought that has to be eradicated. And recently, in the 60s and the early 70s, up until the 90s, they took being homosexual out of the DSM and decided that being gay was not, in fact, a mental illness. And before that, it was considered officially a mental illness under those things. Well, they've taken that out, as they should, because being gay is not a mental illness. But neither is smoking pot. And they've added being a marijuana user to the list of mental illnesses in the DSM last year. And if you enjoy marijuana and spend a fair amount of time looking for it or thinking about it, then you've got a mental illness according to that. And there's this idea that everybody who's a bit different from everybody else has got a mental illness and is trying to spread their contamination. And the same idea where being gay was kind of a crime and kind of a mental illness, kind of a criminal insanity, and you used to go to jail for it. They were like, hey, we're not going to put you in jail for being gay. We're just going to give you treatment to help you deal with your problems, right? Well, now they're doing that with the pot smokers, where groups like Sam Canada are saying, we don't want to put the tokers in jail. We just want to get them through treatment so they stop smoking pot and monitor them for the rest of their lives so they don't backslide into their love of marijuana.
Right.
And so I think that's a very bad thing, and that idea has got to be eliminated. So that was what I was writing about.
Yes.
But
when
not everybody,
when you say it was criticized from all sides, who was criticizing? What were they saying?
Well, you get pot smokers saying smoking marijuana is normal and being gay is a perversion. Don't confuse us with those terrible people, which makes me really sad to hear that kind of comment, but there was a lot of that. Then you get the other side saying, well, people are born gay. You're not born being a pot smoker, so it's not comparable. And although that's sort of true, I don't feel like the point, and you're not, to me it's more about the behavior and your choice and doing what you want. I don't think you should have to get a brain scan to see whether or not you have a gay brain before you're allowed to have same-sex relationships. So to me it's more about your freedom to express yourself, your choices, your sexuality, your sense of being. For me, marijuana is my religion. I feel it's intrinsic to my being. Yeah. And so
on that point, Dana,
but I don't want to say it's like the same thing. They're all different from each other. It's not like being black, but you're all part of a marginalized groups, and there's similarities there.
I saw the criticisms of that, and I got into a discussion with somebody about it. And in the same way that we don't choose who we fall in love with, and I think that's what the gay community would say, you're born, you can't choose to decide what you like, whether you like this kind of sex or whether you fall in love with this person or not. Well, in the same way, I don't choose that the medicine that works for me the best is marijuana, and I don't choose to fall in love with marijuana. I'm in love with it, and it works the best for me, and there's some damn reason I like it, and I want to be with it and use it. So I don't really see why that's that different. Maybe I was born with it.
They are different things. In just some areas, gays are treated far worse, absolutely, than pot smokers. Others, there's some ways, under the law, cannabis users are treated far worse in Canada than homosexuals are, but we don't get gay bashed like other people do. So there's mixes there. But the point is, it's not to say who's got it worse. It's just to say all that shit should stop.
Stoner bash.
Okay, it's not about who's got it worse. It's just all that prejudice should be eliminated.
You are born with an endocannabinoid system. The moment you come out of... So, the reasons why we use cannabis is because we are born with it. It's a regulatory system and how it works in our central nervous system. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. It comes from mother's milk, and it's there. So it's intrinsic to our being. We need to have it. That's plain and simple. And it's not a choice. It is what it is. It's what the best way that I function daily.
I've got
exactly. That's what I said. You're not born with that. I said, yeah, you are. It's called an endocannabinoid system.
Sensible BC's got a bit of a float in the parade. It's more of a pickup truck, but we got a thing, and I got a shirt which I don't have now, but it's just done. Legalized gay marijuana. So there's my little slogan for the parade. It'll be a lot of fun.
That's fun.
So Dana, I want to move on to another topic here. You were at the information session yesterday with us, City of Vancouver, City Hall, and what did you think? Now, the topic on my title today of the show was that Vancouver has legalized marijuana. And I didn't use the word medical on purpose because what it seems like, and we're not lawyers here, and we haven't really ran this past anybody quite yet, but that there's nothing in the bylaws about doctor's notes, actually checking for medical...
Yeah, no, that's been clear for a while. We haven't really brought that up because we didn't sort of want to sort of let everybody know that or get the city in trouble in a way, right? But absolutely, these rules are for... I mean, it's not fully legal because the cultivation is still illegal, but it's going to be a Dutch-style model, except you can't smoke in these things, right? But in Holland, you can go into a coffee shop, you can buy marijuana. The guy that's growing it, if they get caught growing it, they get in trouble. They won't get severe penalties, but they'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
If you're caught importing it, smuggling it into Holland, you'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
But once it's in the coffee shop and they sell it out the front door, that's cool. But there you can smoke in the coffee shops. You're not going to, unless we get some changes, you're not going to be able to smoke in the dispensaries. But otherwise, it's a very similar model where it's de facto legalization for purchase and use and possession at the civic level, but not with the cultivation or the rest of it. No, that's well. Other than your own home, which for some people doesn't always work. Apartment doesn't work. Maybe standing in, there's certain spots on the street. Maybe if you're far enough, but absolutely, there's no place to use it, and that's a big difference. In Holland, they have the coffee shops. You can use it in there, and you should be able to.
Well, I think we're going to try and stand up against the closures of the lounges and that stuff as well.
Well, there'll be a process, and we'll see how it all goes and how they enforce things. But there's definitely going to be some pushback on a lot of this, right?
Yeah.
But
we're not going anywhere yet, guys.
Well, I mean, this place has been under threat forever, right? This isn't a dispensary, but I mean, it's always been under threat from the city. But
they're including us now in the medical marijuana related.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. And I asked about that because there's not a lot of seed banks left in town, but the Vancouver Seed Bank, which I helped found, and Rebecca runs, so they got a letter like that. And so I asked if seeds were considered, and I just got, well, it depends how they're doing their thing. And I didn't
they
really
said a case-by-case basis.
Which didn't really answer me, but I mean, that's a bit... I mean, technically, I suppose under the law, seeds are considered marijuana, and that you're selling, but it's obviously very different in practical terms, and it's odd that I don't know. So we'll see how that unfolds and how that goes. But as a cover, just like a lot of dispensaries call themselves medical dispensaries, but don't we think that all use is medical? Really? I mean, I'd say the first wave of dispensaries are all very strictly medical or try to be. Then there's another wave that's come after that, which is less so, and I got no problem with that. I wasn't sure if they would be getting away with it or how it would go for those folks, but I feel that after this, we're still keeping our standards. We're not changing anything, but I got to figure 6 months from now, assuming we're still open, which is a big if for both of my spots, we'll probably be selling cannabis to every adult and just offering our current members and anyone else who wants to go through that process a discount. If you've got a valid medical need and you prove it to us, we'll give you 10% or 15%, whatever, I don't know, a discount off your cannabis.
There you go. I like that.
So all our current members would be grandfathered into that, and then anybody else that wanted to. But if you just want to, and I imagine a lot of places will do that. Maybe they won't bother with the medical discount. I don't know, but I think, this is fabulous. I mean, there's a lot of problems with these rules that I'm not happy about. But this is still a victory for us in many ways. And all of our victories, you want that one big victory where Harper goes, okay, I was wrong. We're going to legalize. It's all half-assed, partial steps forward, sideways. That's how this stuff works, right? You don't get one big victory. The gay marriage thing, the homosexual rights have been moving forward in all kinds of ways for years, right? They didn't go from ending slavery to full. We're still dealing with the ramifications. Those things still exist, and they're going to continue. So it's going to be, unfortunately, I think it's going to be a lot of, even when states pass these laws to legalize at the state level, it's still a big hassle, and there's lots of problems, and they've got to keep fighting, right? So there's a lot of problems in these bylaws. I would have rather they went the Kimberly style and just said, yeah, here's a business license, and not done all this stuff, but
Dana,
we have a lot more. It's still positive.
Well, here I just have some questions for you personally about it. You mentioned that your dispensaries are under threat. What happens now? What do you do? How do you fight this? There's the committee that looks at these things.
My understanding is we will apply under our current locations and get turned down. Then we will go to the Board of Variance and we will make our case to those folks. They will make a decision about both of our places. Looking into local, my understanding is they'll talk to your neighbors, they'll talk to people, they'll come and check stuff. They'll visit you. They won't just sit at the City Hall and make a decision. They will come and look at things. This is what I'm told. I've never done this before. It's all new to me. They will then make a decision. If they decide we can stay open, great, we stay open. If they decide we have to close, we can then choose to fight that and just stay open anyways. A fight which we might, I don't know how that would go, but we'd probably lose in the long run, I imagine. But maybe not. Depends how it goes, and that's it. But the other option, we would then have, I think, 6 months to try to find a new spot and keep that going. If we can't find a new spot within 6 months that meets everybody's needs, then we are back at the bottom of the deck, and they're gonna stop taking applications after August 24th or 22nd or whatever the date is, and then they're gonna stop them for a while, and then eventually they'll start again. But I imagine there won't be many more coming in after that because there won't be a lot of spots left, right? So It's going to be
No.
about this musical
I
chairs
doubt-
game and finding
Like
spots
in Washington
you can
and
get.
the other places they've done this, they opened it up the one time, they let everybody in, and there's nobody else come in since then. So
Yeah, I mean, it's still Washington's still fresh too. I can imagine that in a few years, maybe it'll get worse down there. I don't know, but hopefully things will open up, right? And that we'll see more. I think that if others, Vancouver, I know other small towns have done it, but in terms of big cities in a big way, Vancouver's the first one to do this. And so when other cities come along and more happens, if we see a change in the federal government, I think this is a living document they've created. It's not going to change in the immediate future, but I think it's going to change. And although I don't know if any huge, I don't think we can challenge all of it with lawsuits. There could be parts of it here and there that are potentially challengeable, although people want to spend the money on that. I don't know. And most dispensaries that...
just on a smaller local scale, and it's going to take some years to sort out. And as that sorts down, it'll filter all this.
It's a lot of factors, right? So it's a federal election coming up in the fall. If Harper stays in power, it's going to be hard to make progress. If he's defeated, things are going to open up more. It's what other cities do. Other areas will try different stuff. My understanding is Victoria might not ban edibles, and that they're lobbying Victoria to encourage them not to ban edibles, and they have some sympathy for that. So other cities might try different things, and hopefully when a whole bunch of cities do slightly different models, then a year or two they'll go, well, we'll take the best of this and the best of that, and there'll be a consensus, right? I mean, every province in Canada can set wildly different rules for alcohol if they want, but they're all very similar. Within about a year, with a few details, we've all come across a set of rules that everyone kind of seems to agree on anyways, right? So I'm hoping we'll get the best of with that. But we got to keep fighting in Vancouver to make it better. We can't. I'm not saying we should be complacent or, it's good enough or we should back down. No, we only have this because of civil disobedience, because of the fighting that we've done. And it's not like, they're giving us a little bit, we should just give up now, and it's pretty good. So
right.
I do think it's pretty good in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of flaws. We got to keep fighting. Whether that fighting is by just staying open and saying, I'm going to defy you, or whether it's fighting in other venues politically or getting people to call the mayor or whatever, all those things, right? So.
You don't have a microphone.
Give him a microphone.
Yeah, and hold it far away from your mouth because it's really jacked up for that.
So when you call Health Canada, especially you take it back to May, a month after the MMPR guidelines came in, and you said, I need some clarification. They said, we can't really give you any in a left-handed answer. They didn't have anything to give. So they're taking the bits and bytes of all the other ones that they're slowly putting through, and you give them 2, 3, 5 years, they get the right structure in there, they start to get a better clue.
It takes time.
It takes time. It takes time just in a regular environment, to start a new company, to hire up the chain, to get your policies and procedures in place, let alone on a federal level where you got to get bylaw rules and it's a process and it evolves.
There's no question we have the momentum on our side. We have public opinion. We're going in the right way. And I will say that a lot of what we've accomplished has been through the sort of capitalist activist model. I think has been very successful.
Yeah.
Starting businesses that are marijuana related. And Mark wasn't the first guy to open a bong shop by any means, but he was kind of the first guy since the new prohibition on bong started in the late 80s to do it in a big way and to turn all the money from that into activism. And when we started opening dispensaries, at least the early ones, tried to follow that same kind of model, and that's what's making a difference, right? Reopening after you get busted, forcing them,
not backing down.
It works when you've got a situation like this where the law, they're not going to put you in jail for 20 years for selling bongs. Mark's technique would not have worked if they would have been willing to actually give him real jail time for bongs and lock him up seriously, right? But we can make these openings, and we've got a good opening with medical cannabis. And I think the spread of, and you're talking about the guy in Winnipeg, they busted the bong shops in Winnipeg last year. They berated them twice. They took all their bongs, right? The joint in Winnipeg.
And they said it was copyright infringement.
Yeah, they were selling a few Yoda bongs or whatever, but they emptied out the whole store. That was just an excuse. That's something dealt with a letter from a lawyer, not a raid, right? They raided them twice over that.
It's not their jurisdiction for
but it's these kind of businesses, especially. Even if you're putting the money towards legalization, that's good. But when you're making your living off of something like this, it just makes you more able and willing to fight it and to go to the wall when it's your livelihood, when you've got employees, when it's your thing. And hopefully you're making money and you're putting that money back into legalization and into positive change.
They can't argue with the money after a while. I mean, said it a while back, and this is no stranger to anybody who knows anything. The downturn in 08, 09, 2010, it got to the point where it's too hard to ignore the money, and now there's too much money coming in, and if big
the
pharma
gay-
attaches to it,
The gay rights
then there's money and
activism
it
is
gets
as well. You know,
progressive.
they talk about gay tourist dollars and all the money from those
Right.
communities and that, and like that's big business. And now the Pride and all these things, all these corporations are down there because they want to cash in on what they see as a market.
And I think that's a good point. And I think part of it is being public about the fact that it is marijuana. Like you said, when Mark came here, there were a lot of people selling bongs and stuff, but a lot of them said for tobacco use only and things like that on it. By putting marijuana leaves on your signs,
joint.
hanging them above your door, and we have a whole damn city
Pass
full
me
of
a
them now.
joint. There
You
should
can't
be one in
drive
front
down
of
any
that bong.
blocks in
Oh,
Vancouver
right.
anywhere without seeing a medical marijuana dispensary with a pot leaf sign on it now. So that has an effect on the public, on the people, on the council, on everybody. Yeah, no, I think definitely Vancouver is the model for getting these things through. I'm worried that some of the regulations themselves are, in some ways, they're a prohibition completely because they just cut everybody out and make it a monopoly again. And Dana, part of it is that they're going to cut all these people off on August 21st, but then everybody who does get in can still have 5 dispensaries. So even after that, it's not like it's open season for a new person to come in. People can open 4 other locations, and they got to find enough locations.
But to their mind, in their mind, they've only got to vet 24 people. They've only got to control them. They've only got to do security checks.
I mean,
on
you
them.
think that's all going to be people who've got everybody's going to have 5 locations? That's going to, I don't.
I know, but
a lot of other ones I know.
They're allowed to, though.
But you've got one senior responsible person in charge.
How would I get more locations after their?
They said yesterday in the meeting, that the cutoff is only for that initial licensing, and once you're in for 5. And that means afterwards, if you want to open
so if I've got a permit for a medical marijuana retail outlet and I've got one location,
yes.
In September, if I want to open another one, assuming I can find a spot, which there aren't any, but assuming I can find a new spot, I could open that,
correct.
And I would my license would cover that.
Yes.
You don't need to apply again for the new spot.
No.
As long as the spot itself is
5
cool.
in total.
That's right.
Interesting.
It's like a taxi medallion or something for a number of cars or whatever.
What I hope happens is that all the cities around Vancouver also pass, but more open versions of these laws.
Yes.
Because then there won't be a monopoly, because it'll all be a separate process for other cities and other places, right?
Totally.
So, and I know,
it's
I
just
don't
scaling.
know how it's all going to unfold.
They're scaling at this point. I mean, it's like applying for a license to grow this much, and eventually
they're trying to
being
make it
grabbed
easier on themselves.
They got to get it in line and then let people grow and expand. Believe me, once they get to the point where they're making enough money off it and they've got the infrastructure to support it, if the market will demand and they see that there's enough profits to be made for and the impact isn't as significant as things evolve, there'll be an opening up again.
The city could very likely, in a year or two, change some of these rules and allow more dispensaries to operate.
And the challenges at government levels on
if
other
we
things
keep pushing,
way.
I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't get rid of, for instance, the limit between dispensaries. I doubt they're going to lower the limit between dispensaries and schools anytime soon, although they should. But why do you really have to be so? They don't want it to be too many. They want to keep it limited.
Yeah.
But if they want to allow more, that would all.
Control
they don't
zones.
make rules about how far bars can be apart from each other. In
It's
fact,
control zones.
They try to cluster them in certain areas to a certain extent.
It's easier to control a certain area. You don't have to spread out your bandwidth, right, to be able to handle it. They're just trying to do what they can manage, and it's a little bit dictatorship. And agree, it takes some of your rights and your freedoms to do it. But
I hope
it's a
that
base
folks
point
who get licenses will not push to be monopoly, but push to expand it for others. And I know that myself. That's my intent with all this stuff. I want there to be lots of dispensaries everywhere. So if we're able to profit off our licenses, I'm hoping I end up with at least one dispensary, maybe 2, that I have right now out of this process. But I don't know. I hope that people love marijuana and love freedom and don't try to use their position to limit anybody else.
And
absolutely.
At the federal level, they're going to have to change with all the appeals and all the challenges.
It's a big country, and Vancouver's one city in one, with a lot of. It's so even if there may be a monopoly in Vancouver, if we open up the rest of the Lower Mainland, there's a lot of places there, right? It's a big country.
It's got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It's a big planet.
I was just going to say, Dana, I guess basically it's just a time limit thing now. We just have to wait and see. You put in your application, you wait. This could take a long time, like 6-12 months down the road.
And hopefully we'll see a change in federal law. That might not change. I mean, even if Trudeau gets in or whatever, or even Mulcair or whatever, and even if they it's not going to happen right away. Even if they do legalize it federally, and somehow there's still going to be a period where there's going to be, like, the provinces are going to have to write laws and the cities are going to have to write some laws. Vancouver would probably just keep what they've got. I don't really. I mean, they've got it. This is for legal marijuana. The only difference would be where we're buying it from. If there was some kind of regulation around that, which I don't mind as long as it's a good rule that it makes sense or whatever. Then I'm happy to follow all that stuff, right? But But
Right.
yeah, so I don't know. I'm not. I think the big question is how many other suburbs around Vancouver are going to do this. Is Surrey and Coquitlam and Port Coquitlam and Maple Ridge and all those places going to do it too?
Right.
And it sounds like a lot of them probably are.
Okay.
And if Toronto goes and does this, I know a lot of folks planning on opening dispensaries in Toronto who are in Vancouver, and Toronto is a much bigger city than Vancouver. And people are in Winnipeg and Edmonton. They're struggling, but they're going to keep going. So
Calgary's working on it.
yeah, and so there'll be,
But
there
Dana,
should be.
now in some of these cities around Vancouver, part of it is that the RCMP has been doing the busting of those places. We have a local police force here, the VPD. They've been, less likely to go, or they really haven't been busting anybody. But what do you think about that? The RCMP. Why does the RCMP go and bust some of these places, like Brittany's place?
I feel
in
like
Burnaby,
it's.
but not others?
I used to think RCMP was worse, but now I don't really know. I mean, people opened up in New West. They followed all the rules. They were very careful. The local New West police force came in 3 times with fake stuff. The 3rd time, they'd forged a Health Canada form accurately enough that they fooled the guys and they sold them a bit of weed. But then we got places like Maple Ridge, which is RCMP, which is fine. Kelowna and Kamloops, they've got their own. They got RCMP and they're okay.
At the discretion of
Nelson,
the management forces of that department, of that branch
like
office,
I
essentially.
I think it's more about the local. I think the RCMP, or the VPD, we've put a lot of effort into whipping them into shape and getting them sympathetically on board and stuff over the years. But I think there's a lot of RCMP out there that are also sympathetic. I think it really just depends on the local mayor. To me, I think the local mayor is, there's a lot of factors, but that's probably one of the biggest ones. I haven't yet heard of a dispensary where the mayor said, I'm happy to have them here, and then it got raided. I don't think that's ever happened.
It did.
Less fish to fry.
Burnaby, that happened. They went to court.
He didn't say it publicly, though. He said it to us privately. Yeah, he did. It wasn't in the media.
Right,
but, and they had that, in Burnaby, I wonder how that would have gone. I don't want to get too much, but they had that naturopath on site, and he was kind of not a good naturopath.
Right,
and
I remember.
That might have been a mistake. I don't know. But you're right. That is true, because the mayor of Burnaby Derek Corrigan's very supportive of ending prohibition, very outspoken about legalization and everything, and we did get raided there. So that's true.
They went in undercover, though.
That's true. But, so there you go. So you never really know, right? But having the mayor on board definitely helps.
Yeah.
If the mayor doesn't like you, you're going to get in trouble.
I think VPP's got a lot of
But
other
having the
things
mayor
to
on
do
board
at the
maybe
municipal
doesn't,
level on the drug front that can, RCMP, a little less fish to fry.
Did you see that Chu, the former chief of Vancouver, Jim Chu, has now got a job at the guys who own the Canucks? He works for the AIG or whatever it is that owns the Canucks. Yeah. Yeah.
I just can't hockey riot. I can't even have to say that. The Stanley Cup riot was like one of the worst things ever, and the best example. I don't know if I want to blame Chu for it or not or whatever, but it's the best example why marijuana is good. And although I don't want to ban alcohol, that was an alcohol-fueled riot, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And so that just if they'd all been smoking weed, I don't think it would have turned out like that.
Before we move on to the final little bit here about the joints that we rolled, we have to come back to the expert choice.
I got to run. Do you have any more questions for me?
Before you run, I had one more question for you, and it's related. Related to what you just said about the booze-soaked Vancouver. You wrote a column in the Vancouver Sun recently about our booze-soaked city, and you brought up some really amazing points about the FIFA soccer thing. Just quickly run us through.
Yeah, we had the women's soccer thing here, the FIFA here, and the city spent $1.2 million for, I think it was a few 5 days or something, a few days of an all-ages beer garden in the downtown core, where you could watch the soccer games and drink beer, and kids could hang out, and they had face painting for the kids and Labatt's for the parents. That's how they were advertising it and stuff. And although I know, soccer does lead to a lot of hooliganism in England and that, but
That's
just
where
like
the word
why are we
comes from.
continuing to? Why is the city spending $1.2 million? That's 10 times what they claim our 420 rally cost, which I think is an inflated price. But even if you go to that, that's 10 years of 420 rallies for an all-ages beer garden at a sporting event when the last sports and alcohol lead to riots in the downtown core.
The only thing that can say that is before I got a little more into this on my day job, I worked for event management. There's a lot of money that comes from Budweiser and Miller and all that stuff to put on these events. So the $1.2 million that it cost them to put on that event, in their mind, That's just part of the cost of doing
But wait,
business because
isn't
they
that-
made
So
5
we
to
can
10 million
so
off it.
alcohol companies can profit. We're subsidizing alcohol sales.
that
in the
doesn't-
How
downtown
long
core.
could you
Why don't we
advertise
let-
tobacco till until like 10
Why
years
don't we
ago?
let
You
the
could,
beer companies pay for that? In fact, why don't they give us some money after the riot for whatever role that their products
Yeah,
played in
that's the funny
causing
thing.
that?
Well, come
They wanna-
eventually.
You know.
Wait, hold on a sec. They want to charge us for, they were threatening to charge us for the 420 event and the hospital visits or all this stuff. But that riot, I didn't hear anybody saying charge the booze companies for that.
Yeah, or the mayor. He was the organizer. He didn't have to pay for it. The city's kind of paying for it, but not the mayor personally. But I mean, that I don't know. The idea of spending money, the city spending money to promote alcohol and to sell alcohol for all ages beer garden. Kids can't get within a couple hundred meters of a dispensary, but there's an all ages beer garden. Just because the provincial government allows you to do it doesn't mean the city has to do it. The city could still say, we're going to make it adults only or whatever, right? And it doesn't really bother me, those events, although putting $1 million into it does kind of bother me. But what bothers me is the hypocrisy that they can't, the kids there is fine. You want to hang out with your parents while they get drunk and watch sports? Hey, we'll subsidize that. You want to bring your kid to talk about marijuana freedom while you use your medicine? That's a terrible sin and a tragedy.
It's such a double standard.
That hypocrisy is not cool.
When I was growing up, it was Molson Hockey Night in Canada, and all kids are watching sports all the time, and it's nothing but completely soaked in booze ads. Of course. It's
And
such a double standard all the way.
grew up
it
with
used to be
those ads.
tobacco as well.
Here's the thing, Dana. Right now, we've got the BC Liquor Control Board. The day there's an actual BC Marijuana Control Board, it'll be a different story.
Right.
They're licensing liquor because they're making money hand over fist. It's just simple mathematics. And because you can push cigarettes, you can push tobacco, you can push liquor, you can push you can push
Get 'em in the
casinos.
Yeah.
You can do all that shit because they can make money off it.
That's
they
true.
haven't quite figured out the right way to get their
Coca-Cola.
slice the right way yet
Well, now
off of weed.
Now they will $30,000 worth. So
Coming.
next,
And that's
we'll
the
have
first
our
step.
we'll have our FIFA event next time it comes, sponsored by some of the local dispensaries in town, and you'll have an
Eventually,
open-
it'll be like that, and then it'll when it flips, it'll all flip right, and we'll have the corporate people, the TD will be down there with that. Looks like they're at all the banks will be there, all the money, just like a Pride parade. None of them wanted to be there at first, right?
Yeah.
They don't lead someone when they see it's popular and there's an audience. This is the way the mood's going. They're all there, and I'm quite confident that a couple of years after pot's legalized, even before, we'll see all the big businesses will be down there promoting marijuana. They'll be all wearing pot leaves in the banks on 420, just like they all wear rainbow stuff on Pride or whatever.
They're
Like
mad
they'll
at-
all be trying to cash in on it.
We should turn
It'll
our
be a
420 into a big parade. And,
Jeremiah, they're
I think
mad
that's
at you.
great. I think that's great. That's what we want, right? We want to be mainstream. We want, those things to be seeking us out. We want to transform society, but we also want to be
wanna
part of that.
openly
We want to
be
be
part of it,
accepted
yeah.
like anybody else, right? I'd love it if, like a mainstream, like Subway wanted to sponsor our marijuana rally and put up a Subway sign
the
or whatever.
problem
Like,
is not
not a
what-
big Subway fan, but I think that'd be a very positive step for our culture or on our movement and everything, right? Like,
Any kind of major fast food chain or any kind of thing that would sponsor us would be awesome.
Well, we did. There was some interest. Red Bull at one time. We did have a little bit of a conversation with them, but I think that they were scared
we
away
had too
by
many wings at that point. We were
If
too
you
high.
show up, the problem that they don't necessarily have is obviously Vancouver doesn't have a huge problem with weed at the municipal level massively. I'm trying to find the right spot. It's really you guys didn't get the right permits. And you didn't bring big enough
we're not so
bag
sure
of
about
cat.
that.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you either. But you go when you show up with enough money and enough interest and enough sponsorship, you can get permits for almost anything. And agree with Danny, you get a year or two where it gets a little bit more out of the gray zone. They're going to come to you and say, "Hey, so
I think
where do you want to do it
future
now?"
holds a lot of things, but it's not quite
future
sure what
holds
that
a
is.
lot of things, and we don't know what they're going to be until we get there.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
it'll all seem obvious in retrospect. Okay, I got to run. Thanks for having
Okay,
me here,
Dana,
as
thanks
always.
a lot
a
for
pleasure.
coming on. Awesome.
And
love you huge, and thanks for your comments. I thought they were excellent. I think keeping the heat. We have to do this good cop, bad cop thing with the city. I love what the city's doing, but I think the people that were there putting the heat on them really does make a difference. So.
We need all angles and focuses, and there'll be a range of attacks, right? You need civil disobedience, you need everything, right? So,
Yeah.
But I got to run. I got to go back to
Okay.
Pride. So thank you as always. See you
Thanks,
later.
Dana. Dana Larson, activist extraordinaire. So let's get back to this
Awesome,
joint
Dana.
roll
Thanks,
thing.
bud.
So what ended up happening with our joint
Joint
burning?
rolling contest. The judge. Are you coming up here?
The expert.
We're right here. So I'll set this joint
We'll
down.
turn his
We want to
headless.
know the reasoning. We
Please.
want to hear the
Please.
results.
Where do
Let's
am I
just
better
do
here?
this.
Yeah, you're headless there. Yes.
There, am I good now?
Now you're good.
Okay. So
So,
we had the 3 front runners. at this point, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 across this way. Everyone knows who the joints are. I think this was 5 and 6. So number 3, yes, that one. The first coner. Burned a little too quick in the beginning. Kind of was a little loose. A little bit too many treats coming through it, as in the shrapnel coming through. A very nice joint. The white one, the nice, pretty-looking coner. Burned very consistently the whole way through, but again, the filter was just a little bit too loose. And the one without the filter, I have to say that consistency-wise, all the way through, it burned very, very nice. A little solid. You could feel a few uneven marks to it, but I got to go throw back, and I got to throw Neil's back in as well, too. Because the overall burn on that was just amazing. It's just very, very consistent. It wasn't quite as pretty from the get-go, but I think on the overall average, when you bring in a consistent burn and the visual with the least kind of tweaks to be with the perfection, I got to go with the big fat whitey, the cone, and number 6.
There you go, Tommy.
Oh, it was Tommy?
It was Tommy.
Tommy, wow.
Tommy.
Okay, so number 2?
It was, the big fat white one. It was really the big fat white coner.
There were 2 big fat white ones, though.
No, there was a tall, long fat with the open tip that some fell out of the tip of it.
That was Tommy's.
Okay, then Tommy, congratulations, man. That was you.
The open tip. Okay, and
so
that's
and why?
Did you have a second or third?
Yes, definitely. In second place was the filterless that was my man's over here. Very, very good. As much as I prefer a filter in them, the consistency of the burn and the overall, very,
so
very
overall,
nice.
it just didn't have a filter.
Well, and it was a little bit lumpy along the way. It had a couple little pregnant spots on it if you want it. But other than that, it was good.
I rolled it in 10 seconds. I know.
Yeah,
it was a 10-second roll, by the way.
You didn't have to. You didn't have to. I said, come with.
Oh no! I just wanted to get
that
out
was
of
the technique.
That's just
and then I did really like the cone. It was up there in the top 3, but I got to drop it down. I got to throw Neil's back in because it burnt really, really. Again, the consistency of the burn. The cone looked very, very. Again, it looked really, really pretty.
Beautiful.
It looked great.
That was my favorite again. So I didn't see how it burned though.
It burned. It was a little bit too loose in a few spots. It burned very, very quick in the beginning, and then slowed down at the end. And it was.
Burn is huge. Burn.
It was also shedding a lot of shrapnel along the way as well out of it.
Well, the last one you're talking about, Tommy's, that filter was tweaked by number 2.
Okay,
to make it a better joint because it wasn't burning.
I gotta give it to both of you guys. Well, then congratulations. I'll kind of split it between you guys there on the contribution for that. But overall, it was a very, very close competition.
Awesome.
It was just there was a couple little visual things that was really some of the standouts.
Overall, everybody rolls an awesome joint.
Yeah, there's some fantastic joints. Really, I think my favorite joint of the one ended up being the shatter one. It was the tastiest. It was the tastiest one.
The shatter one came in for the tastiest.
Tastiest joint. All very well put together. Thank you very much for Pot TV having us and Jeremiah there for the competition.
Tommy, the winner, you
got
to get up here.
Tommy, get up here.
Get up here.
There he is.
You gotta come up.
Tommy gets a bong rip for winning the joint competition.
There you go. You get a bong rip.
And actually, you get all the smoke and papers. You feel the carry. Anybody else, if you want to pack, please come on, take it up from our sponsors. We appreciate that, and thanks for having us here. Appreciate you checking us out.
Expert. So Tommy's going to be Waka Flocka Flame's new joint roller, or wait, maybe Snoop Dogg. Since Snoop Dogg's coming to Vancouver, Snoop Dogg will be here in Vancouver in October.
I'm waiting for that one.
For the Harvest Moon Cup. Is that what it is? Yeah. That's pretty dope.
Yes, looking forward to.
Must have paid a pretty penny for that, but
give us a call too. You put on the Harvest Moon, please holler at Expert Joints. We'll be all over that. Just
the end of October, I would
Facebook,
think.
Twitter.
Yeah, well, give your Expert Joints website.
Okay. We're at expertjoints.
And then shut up.
Thank you. And I'll go back and roll my last joint and get out of here. I got to pay for parking, I'm sure. It's expertjoints.com. You can also catch us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff at Expert Joints. We really appreciate it. We're going to cross a million views pretty soon on YouTube. Some of that thanks to that. Compassion Club, we did an interview with here too. Had a lot of great times with Cannabis Culture. Look forward to the future. It's amazing. Thanks for letting us be part of the Pot TV.
YouTube.com/Expert
Joints.
Bingo.
And the last
Tommy, your bong rip. You want this?
The last interview we did
with
Jody Emery is amazing. The girl is absolutely fantastic.
Mine now.
So we're gonna get Jeremiah in one pretty day soon.
Yeah, we'll be doing that. My joints aren't that great though. I'm not that big of an expert.
Teach him.
But I'm no Tommy. Right. I guess are you rolling a joint over there?
I'll do
Yeah,
it.
nice, good. I want to smoke.
I'll just sit over here and roll some
I don't know if you
blindfolded
actually
joints
want this
before I leave.
bong rip. If you don't, I'll take it for you. But
I'm gonna roll one blindfolded before I leave, and we'll catch you later.
I'm getting ready.
Nice, cool.
Are we out of here? How are we going? More people on the show?
Oh, and Johnny, but I wanted to. I wanted to talk to you before we go about your cool new gadget. Can we talk about that? Oh, we have to talk to Kind Selections, and that's why we got to get Tommy up here too about their road trip. They're going across Canada, so we got to get the Kind Selection boys up here, and then we'll talk about your gadget.
Maybe next time.
Your strange gadget. Oh, you don't want to talk about it yet?
Maybe
Have you
next
announced
time.
it to the world and stuff?
It's on my YouTube channel.
Oh, well, then what
yeah.
then what are you
Cannabis
talking about?
testing, the
You have a
GC810C
gas chromatograph.
FDGC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you've been testing cannabinoids.
Well, I was in the past, and
The Concentrates Open is happening this
Concentrates
weekend.
Open. You know what?
We'll talk
more
about this
more
after.
to come on what Jared's talking about. I'm in the midst, make it this way. I'm in the midst of building a very style, clean little area for my next 10 years to 25 years of blindfold and joint roller. Here we go. But anyways, let's get the guys who are traveling across Canada up here. Get up here, guys. Come on. We got 2 microphones, one for each of you. And 3?
I got a third.
Number 1.
This thing has to be switched on. So Kind Selections, I've been smoking some of their stuff the last couple days. A lot of it actually going home totally retarded. And what's up? What's up, guys? So, what's up, boys?
Not too much. How are you?
How you guys doing?
Really good.
And why don't you guys? You guys? Here's another microphone. You guys all introduce yourselves, and then tell us about this trip that's coming up.
Anyone got a lighter?
Well, I'm Ryan.
Mail-in.
I'm Andy.
You got a lighter?
I'm Melissa.
I'm Tommy Bong.
And what's this trip, boys and girl?
We're going coast to coast. We're going to start in Victoria and, Tofino. And then we're going to jar ocean water in Tofino, and we're going to go all the way across to PEI. And jar ocean water there and mix it together in the middle and smoke out of it.
What a dope trip. That's huge.
Probably on Meridian Road in Manitoba.
Oh, you know the place.
Which would be the center of Canada, exactly.
That's going to be the spot. That's the center of Canada.
Yeah, it's actually beside the smallest little hamlet called Argyle.
Oh, cool.
Bizarrely enough.
So Canadian history will be part of this trip, I guess, then.
Yeah, we're unifying Canada through cannabis.
Or, I mean, Canadian factoids. What is that? Trivia?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I guess that's history. So, yeah, I mean, the trip, why? What are you guys doing? You're just, I mean, that sounds like a cool thing, but you guys are going to be stopping at friends along the way kind of thing? Or what's the...
Yep, we're going to be visiting a bunch of friends, a couple different gardens, and extract labs of people we know, too. And
It's going to be an adventure.
yeah, friends and family across the country.
And hopefully you'll be doing some of this on Pot TV as well.
Yep.
Tommy Bong, one of our amazing producers, will be on the trip to be pointing the cameras at you guys. And but so tell us about Kind Selections and what the whole. You guys are extract makers. You guys are extractors.
Would that be the right word?
Extractors. I don't know. You could be like shatter jockeys.
Ooh,
I like you like shatter jockey.
Kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
That's an SJ for the
An SJ. Yeah, SJs. Yeah. No, well, where did this come from? When did you guys get started?
It's been around
Tell
for
the
a while.
microphone.
Oh, yeah, it's been around for a while.
You guys just started. This is a personal. You guys started doing this yourselves. Tell us what you got. What do you make, and how do you do it?
Everything's closed loop systems, all dewaxed, 96 hour or longer, depending when it's done. Shatter, space wax, sugar wax, different extracts, medicated sugar, fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tinctures, gel caps.
Yeah. Cool. And this is you guys going across the country. Are there dispensaries here in town that carry the products you guys make, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's 7 dispensaries, I believe, in town that carry Kind Selections. It's also available online through Kind Selections on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
For any patient anywhere in Canada. Shatter, capsules, tinctures.
all the goods.
Yeah.
And now, are you guys affected by this? You know, obviously there's some issues with they want just tinctures in the dispensaries now. Does that worry you guys? They haven't actually, when we were at this information session, they didn't actually define what a tincture or cannabis oil is or cannabis.
I was going to ask that question because, so
People
are they
specifically.
giving the free right for anybody to sell alcohol then? If they opened up the alcohol
I know the
world
tinctures.
at the same point?
Yeah.
Because
it's an alcohol product.
Well, yeah, and what group out here is testing the alcohol percentages and making sure that's consistent across the way? No.
Good question.
It's the same reason that they're trying to knock the edibles and say that it's not food safe.
Yeah.
Well, what I really don't get is this whole regulation about how close they can be to schools, and that there's a high school in Langley.
Yeah.
Right next door is a gun range that offers
I know.
shooting. So you can go shoot your gun next to a high school, but you can't go smoke a joint in a dispensary behind a closed door where 18-plus adults are only allowed.
I know, what a joke.
That is pretty well played.
Yeah.
Pretty well played, yeah.
Yeah. No, and, you know, even here in Vancouver now, they have breweries are allowed to have lounges in them even and stuff. Like, it's getting crazy.
Well, the whole smoking thing is really a non-issue. Like, hookah lounges, other bars and restaurants throughout Canada have just gone private members clubs.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. It would just become private members clubs. You have to be a member in order to join. And
Well, the problem with that in the city of Vancouver, the hookah lounges tried to do something like that, but they've been in court for years, 5 years, with the city of Vancouver, who's been fighting them on every aspect of it to, they've been trying to remain open, but the city doesn't want them to, so they actually won a court case against the hookah lounges, and so those hookah lounges might have to close now. And since they put the vaporizing in the tobacco law or in the smoking bylaw, they kind of preemptively fucked the vapor lounges and the hookah lounges out of using vaporization as their alternative.
so is the city more of an expert than the hospital?
Good
'Cause
question.
I'm allowed
Bingo.
to vaporize at the hospital.
Yeah.
If I choose,
You're using a Health Canada approved device.
Volcano is one of those. I see a volcano on every table here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. The city has their doctor from Coastal Health that has said that marijuana causes children to have low IQs, and she says that vapor is dangerous for people.
Does this doctor work with Len Garris?
Yeah, exactly. Len Garris's doctor. No, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. Well, it's cool that you guys are touring across the country, though. And you guys have, what's the mode of transport?
We have a green van, the green machine.
The green machine.
Named Lola.
Her name is Lola.
The van is called Lola.
Yeah, it's like when you adopt a pet at the Humane Society, you don't change its name.
It's already been around for long enough,
Yeah.
It's going
That's
to be
hilarious.
amazing.
And it's a pretty dope little Chevy van. Well, it's not little, it's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big old van.
That'll be fun. Cool, guys. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with and your travels. It should be funny.
I think humor, a little bit of funniness, yeah.
You guys are clowns. So, but give them the website addresses again just so people know where to find your stuff. You out of here, Johnny B?
On
Johnny's
Facebook,
got parking
it's
issues.
Kind Selections. On Instagram, Kind Selections.
Bye, Johnny
You can also find us on YouTube under Heady Hikes.
Oh, yes, of course. Now, Tommy, we have Tommy on the couch here. Tell us about the Heady Hikes.
Yeah.
They're up on Pot TV right now. What have you been up to out there?
Yeah, so with the Heady Hikes, so basically we've been gathering people around the community here, and we've been hearing that they want to be hiking out in nature and also be medicating safely without being disturbed or disturbing others. And so we created Heady Hikes to teach more about dab etiquettes and sorry here. I need a little toke here.
Dab etiquette, I like that.
Yes. We teach them dab etiquette and safety procedures for every situation that we're in. And we just like to have fun and immerse ourselves into nature. That's the number one goal. Get out into the sunshine.
I want to showcase some really high-end glass, some really local artists, no Chinese imports or anything like that.
Yes. Heady glass for sure. We totally love to showcase local artists here in Canada. We also have some artists out in the States that we also like to showcase, which is Earl Jr. He's awesome. And yeah, we're going to be crossing around Canada hiking. We're going to be bringing a lot of people with us to go hike and bring their heady pieces just to hit it out in nature.
So that's going to be part of this whole thing. Wow.
Yeah,
And do you have
definitely.
any particular location set aside that you guys want to hit up for your hike, or like is there some famous? I don't know anything about hiking in Canada, but
I don't know. We'll find
You'll
out.
find some.
We'll find some.
Definitely,
awesome
it's a venture.
Kick down some bushes.
I think there's a computer program you can use to figure that out. I don't know.
Oh.
interweb.
And so when does the tour start?
It rhymes with Lugal. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, never heard of it.
Starts on Tuesday. We're
Yeah,
leaving. Actually.
Tuesday we're headed towards the island.
It's coming up.
Yeah, and then we'll be heading out across Canada Friday.
Cool, awesome. That is so cool, guys. So we'll have the van cam.
Van cam.
So
man.
Tommy, what are you going to do? Are you setting up? How are we going to do this? Are you recording on demand stuff? Are you going to try and do some live stuff? What do you want to do?
We're going to do a mix of live and recording. Definitely a lot of recording.
Yeah.
But we're going to... Sorry, I'm doing this a lot. But, yeah, definitely we're going to be getting lots of funny-ass footages. No, it's just an adventure to come, really.
Cool. Well, watch Pot TV for that. It should be interesting.
And watch for the 2 Great Danes and T-shirts.
Definitely 2 Great Danes.
Yeah. The 2 Great Danes?
Yeah, they're coming with us.
The Great Danes are going with us.
And you said in T-shirts?
Yeah.
So what kind of shirts are they wearing? Should we get them a Pot TV shirt?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to have a Pot TV. We have a few local companies that are helping us out on our journey that we're going to be showcasing along the way.
Nice. Your billboard dogs.
Yeah, billboard dogs. They got to earn their keep. They can't travel for free.
That's hilarious. Wow, so that's going to be a packed van then. So it's just the 3 guys? Or
4 of us and 2 dogs.
Oh, and you're going as well, sweetheart? Oh, I didn't know. They
Yeah,
didn't tell
man.
me about you coming along on the trip. Good. That'll be a good balance. These guys won't kill each other or something. Van rolls off the road. Cool. And 2 Great Danes, so yeah, that's going to be an interesting trip.
It's even 3 females, 3 males.
Oh, I see, because they're lady dogs. I see. Very cool. Well, have a good trip, guys.
It evens it out,
It evens it out.
Even
That's right.
estrogen and
balance the
testosterone in the van.
Cool. Well, we'll check in with you guys along the way. It'd be funny. I don't know if you guys are you going to be. You said you're going to be at a bunch of different stops. Like Vapor Central. If you go in there, you should stop in and do something with Chris on the VC feed.
Yeah, we'll also be stopping in at the dispensary in Winnipeg and showing our support to.
Cool. Awesome. Excellent, guys. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. I just wanted to talk to you before you shipped out on the road. And yeah, Tommy. So I guess you won't be producing the Opus show. Tommy's going to be on the Opus show. Won't be on hiatus. I'll be taking over production of that. So just so Mick knows wherever he is. I don't know if you've talked to him, Tommy. Have you talked to Mick about touring yet? Yeah, you talked to him.
I have.
He knows
yeah.
I'm stepping up. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, it was a fun show. Crop King might sponsor you.
I mean, not my favorite guy in the world, but that guy put his sticker on everything. I don't know whose market.
I see hemp seed down there on the couch. Mel, do you want a bong toke?
Sure, I'll have a bong toke.
Did you say no, Melly?
I said sure.
Okay. Tommy, you want this bong toke?
Sure.
Okay, here
I
you
think
take
isn't that his winning bong toke for the joint?
Yeah. That was his winning bong toke for the joint. I've got more weed here.
We're gonna have his joint rolling
Tommy will
skills on
take
our
the
journey.
last bong toke of the show. Yeah, and thanks to the expert for being here. Thanks, my friend. Awesome to have you here. We'll be publishing more of the expert joints videos on Pod TV. Thanks to everybody else in the house. The bong. Oh, the concentrate's open here in the building. Canadian Concentrates.
4 p.m. tomorrow.
Not just in the building,
second
but in
floor.
this space.
Right here. Steam Clock
Come
in
down and
Gastown, 7
support.
o'clock tomorrow. Neil Magnuson will be there juggling. What's going on there, Neil?
It's a protest against what happened on Cannabis Day.
So at the Steam Clock in Gastown.
Yeah, right after the concentrates, we're going to bring a bunch of people down there and have a bit of a smoke out in Gastown.
Smoke out the Steam Clock. It'll be like a Hawaiian hot box or something.
Steam and
yeah.
And then probably the fireworks are most people right after that.
Well, if they want to shut down the vapor lounges, they're gonna have to expect us to be out on the street in hordes, smoking more often.
And it looks like
exactly.
And what
Get
better
used to
place
it.
than a smoking clock?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said they pump the vapor from the lounge here down there and into the steam clock.
Yeah,
All
that's
those-
what they should totally
All
do
the
that.
tourists get high. It's how we get more people to come to Vancouver.
We'll power the Steam Clock. That's a brilliant idea, though. I like that. We'll just pipe it from here because the
Can
Steam
we
Clock.
tap into
It's
the
not
pipe?
actually. I think they have like a. I don't think it actually runs on steam anymore. It's an electric clock now. So it's
Well,
just
like
an
a
all
kettle that just boils
all
all
a big
day, or
sham.
what?
Yeah, exactly.
If we suck all the vapor
Wow.
and smoke out of the building and pump it down there, are we still considered smoking and vaporizing in here?
There
or
you
is
go.
it considered a city
No,
that's
you know what it
doing
is? The steam clock is illegal.
It is.
The steam clock is illegal in Vancouver.
It's vaporizing in their cars.
So are cars. Yeah, so is breathing out. So
Propane
is
cars
using your
definitely.
inhaler if you have asthma or something. So yeah, lots of anything. Yeah, no farting in Vancouver. It's illegal. Yeah, humans are completely illegal. No breathing allowed.
farting.
Yeah.
No
Gregor
farting.
Robertson doesn't like steam clocks or farting in Vancouver.
And puppies fart, so he's clearly against puppies.
He's against puppies. Yeah. What a shame. What has the city become?
Against
All right.
natural.
Thanks for watching Pot TV. Tune in tomorrow for the Redbeard Show, as usual, 4 p.m. Saturday. He's got something going on. I think he's on tour right now. He's at some cool location. I don't want to give it away. No spoilers, but
Secret
tune in tomorrow
location.
at 4 to find out. And love you, Pot TV. We'll be back again next week, and you can always watch shows here on Pot TV every couple days, and you can watch a whole bunch of shows on Vapor Central's live stream feed just about every day. All the live stuff happening, all at pot.tv. Peace, guys. Love ya.
Love you too. See you tomorrow night.
Bye.